Hello everyone. How are we doing on the 4th of July? For most people, somewhere as it may be the 5th of July. Are we ready for a resistance-based day for the Genestealer Cult? I totally forgot it was Resistance Day. You could call it thematic. But it triggered something in my brain like the 4th of July. That means something somewhere. And I genuinely thought it might be Canada Day. But turns out that was 3 days ago on the 1st. Happy Canada Day. That's what I meant to say. Hello. It seems that YouTube is doing a new fan-based tier ranking system. I think it's the more messages you send and the more happy hearts you click on, then you get to have a better ranking within the top fans section. I think. I have no idea how it works. Oh no. Hang on, I've just spilled water everywhere. Okay. Haha. Haha, yeah. That was a massive 3 hours worth of water bottle just all over all of my notes and electronic things. But the electronic things are fine. That's great. It's great. Okay. So, we're all good. Yeah, just staying hydrated by entirely covering yourself in fluids. That's one way to do it. It has not been blessed, it is not holy water. So, we're fine. We're fine. I'm so glad that all of my notes are not in paper form, all around my desk, right next to the water, and are all definitely typed up digital stuff. So that's gonna be a fun task for me later tonight. Never mind. Everyone loves it when you live stream things. So that's been an eventful first 15 minutes of the live stream. Where were we? Yes. Something about Genestealer Cult. That's what I'm going with now. I don't need to tell anyone else to come and watch the live stream. We're in sufficient disaster mode as it is. Everyone who wants to be here is probably going to be here. Oh yeah, you can be a top fan on YouTube by typing comments maybe. There seems to be a top fan section. Don't know how that works, but it seems to be how it's operating now. If you type more comments and you click more likes, then you get to be a top fan and have a little crown thing next to yourself during the live stream. Who knew? That's not the only weird thing that YouTube's been doing. They now have an inspiration tab on their YouTube thing for creators to say, hey, maybe you should make this video. It's currently recommending that I do one about base sizes, to follow up on that video I did about base sizes like 2 weeks ago. So I'm not going to do that. The other thing is they all come with their own thumbnail. This is the abomination that it recommends for a what if the Sisters of Battle fought the Tyranids? It's just pure horror. And YouTube seems to want me to put that somewhere on my screen, so that that's a thumbnail that everyone's going to click on. But of course they're not going to click on it. Look at the Tyranid. It has 3 tongues, and one of its tongues has 2 extra tongues on top of that. We have jaws coming out of its arm. And then we also have 2 battle sisters on the bottom right who seem to have switched sides and are fighting against the battle sisters. So that's some heresy. And that battle sister on the bottom right has had both her arms merged together into one arm. That's just weird. And yeah, all of the faces are also helmets and faces, and they have marine backpacks And yeah, it's nasty. It's really nasty. Well, that's what not Games Workshop, the other one I complain about, YouTube. That's what YouTube wants me to put out. I don't like it. I don't like it. So I'm not going to do that. Yeah. There's been a lot of changes in base size technology in the last 2 weeks, have there? I don't think there has. I think I'll be okay. No, I think the next one stuff they'll work on is Genestealer Cult based. At least I would if I can get my notes put together again. And then I think I need to swing back into the Sisters and Penitent Host. There are some other videos to do. I can't remember what they are because I have them on a list, on paper, on my desk. That is now merged with my desk. So I cannot see what it says. But there sure will be some videos coming out in the soon times. Okay, one of them definitely says Repentia, so something Repentia will happen. Give the people what they want. I don't know what the people want, except maybe big video about Genestealer Cult, Penitent Host related stuff. We'll see how that does. And then there's plenty of other things that might work that I should enjoy making. If I don't enjoy making them, then I can just not make them. I forget that that's always an option, that once I have an idea written down, I don't have to do it. It doesn't have to be, oh, the paper says so, so you must. Just bought another 20 aberrants. No, 20 neophytes and 10 aberrants. That's some odd Genestealer Cults for sure. I still struggle with aberrants. Oh, I hope you did affiliate links. Affiliate links if you can, because they're in the description. Then you can get your models much cheaper than going through Games Workshop. But I've been struggling with aberrants since the Codex came out. I've played the Biosanctum Brood Surge a few times. I've played the Final Day a few more times. They're all about infiltrating. Putting lots of models in the middle of the board and then moving forward. Doesn't matter if I go first or I go second. It doesn't work out for me. So I'm much more of a Host of Ascension and Xenocreed kind of person. Because I know with Xenocreed, even though I can sprint across the board or drive across the board super fast in a truck with the Outlander Claw, that doesn't mean I should. You can stay in your own deployment zone. It's fine. You've only got 20 neophytes. That's maybe not enough neophytes. If you're doing something like Brood Brothers Auxilia, then it may be fine. No, I would maybe have more than 20 neophytes there. Biosanctum Brood Surge can get away with 20 neophytes in 2 squads of 10. That'll be fine. Oh, I'm glad the Crusade videos were helpful. I have been playing a lot more of the Armageddon Crusade book, and I am not enjoying it. There are so many extra rules. It's been twice now in games. We've done like the first player's first turn, then we look again, it's like, oh, I didn't realize every unit has infiltrate in this game. It says so in the special section on the special warp abilities. It's not in the like mission rules. And oh, it says that the random adversaries are under control of one player in the first turn. Didn't see that. Better restart the game. Which is just a pain. And I'm not enjoying the adversaries as much as I thought I would. If it was a bunch of enemies, random third-party enemies that are on an objective, and they stay on the objective, maybe charging enemies that get within 12 inches, something like that, that would be okay. But you set up the units so you can set them up like closer to your enemy's deployment zone than your own, and maybe one unit will do the other thing and it'll be the other way around. Then they get to charge in their first turn. It's a near guaranteed charge, and you don't get to fight back, and you don't have any command points in the very first enemy turn because you haven't had your turn or your opponent's turn. There is no command phase for the adversaries, so you can't fire Overwatch. Fight first does nothing because you don't fight in their turn. So the game effectively starts with the closest unit to like the edge of your deployment zone in combat and half dead. And that's how it is in every single game. And then you either have to fall back with that unit, or you can stay in combat and then fight. Don't worry about missing the beginning. Nothing of interest at all happened in the beginning. Everything is working perfectly. Everything is fine. Yep. So I think the adversaries need a bit of a rework. And I keep finding so many errors. Like, oh yeah, the Warp Storm thing, you do it every player turn. Then you do it every battle round instead, or the end of a battle round. And one of them doesn't change, even though it seems like it should change. But it doesn't. There are missions that are meant to be symmetrical that have more objectives on one side than the other, and you don't notice until you, like, triple check the map. It seemed like Crusade Armageddon needed more work. The lore definitely needed more work. That was not very interesting lore. That was a token reference to the first War of Armageddon, and that's about it. It's like, hey, remember that first War of Armageddon? No? Well, we're gonna replay it, basically. But now you can play Angron on the tabletop. That's about the only difference. I don't think there is any other difference besides that. No, nothing really has changed. And there's orcs, but there aren't really orcs. So it's been a bit of a disappointment. I still don't recommend... I don't know if I recommended that Crusade book. It's interesting for some aspects. I think it's trying to do too much at once. I still recommend Pariah Nexus as the best Crusade book. And Tyrannic War is also a pretty good one, which gets you into it. Oh yeah. Angron has become the Lieutenant Fourth. Because in Star Trek, whenever they need to show someone being really powerful, they'll always beat up Worf, because he's known as the strong one. So over and over again, he just gets smashed. It happens to any character in any franchise who can come back to life. They will die multiple times. At the end of 9th edition, when it was Angron versus the Lion, we knew that the Lion was going to win. We all did. And that he would kill Angron, because Angron has a I can come back to life mechanic. It was inevitable. Oh. Yeah, oh yeah, the Avatar of Cain got kicked around quite a lot. Want to show how the character's strong? Yeah, they're just going to destroy the Avatar of Cain, because the Avatar of Cain can come back later and on another craft world, because every craft world has their own avatar. Just someone else being sacrificed. Poor things. Okay, we'll do some Genestealer Cult stuff. Most of the time it's hard to do a tier list for the Genestealer Cult in general, because each of the detachments are super specialized to some units. So Aberrants are really good in the Biosanctic Brute Surge, they're not that great in Xenocreed. They're going to be very lacking in one place compared to the other. It's gotten a little better, but not that much better. I'm seeing more competitive, like, Host of Ascension armies having lots of bikes. I'm seeing competitive Outlander Claws having more Purestrains and fewer bikes. But each detachment has its own video. I think I haven't done one on Outlander Claw yet, because I am just going scout, 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 super fast move, oh isn't this fun, and it's not working perfectly for me. I can get it to work better. I really should. There's also no generic detachment for the Genestealer Cult. Host of Ascension is far more shooting than combat. The Brood Brothers Auxiliary is generally bad, and also is more shooting focused. Final Day can do a bit of both. Yeah, it's got the +1 to hit, but the stratagems want you to be in combat, and it's all about the Tyranids, which is kind of skewing things a bit. Like a Patriarch doesn't do much in the Outlander Claw, but it has great power in the Final Day detachment. So we're looking at the meta shift right now compared to, I guess, this time 3 weeks ago, when we got the new balanced data slate. There haven't been that many victories and crazy tournament results. There have been few tournaments coming in. There's been like 2 tournaments. So we're having some factions on like a 66% win rate, others on 44% win rate. Those two do not add up to 100, but that's not the point. It needs more data to be more statistically accurate. Because one person, it was like 2 balance patches before, one person played the Agents of the Imperium, won 2 out of their 3 games at a tournament, and thus, because they were the only one to play Agents of the Imperium, a 66% win rate is what the Agents of the Imperium had for a month. Games Workshop was like, does this mean we should nerf them even more? I think we should. Yeah. There's not a great combined arms Genestealer Cult detachment that I can think of. None of them, they're all really specialized and they either want to do combat or shooting. The final day, yeah, it's a bit of a mix. Host of Ascension has one stratagem about getting your units in close combat better, and lethal hits will work, especially on the units like the Biophagus. Then you get sustained hits and lethal hits. That can work. Primed and readied, it's now on a 5+ for both of them, so you can do some combat in the Host of Ascension. Xeno Creed doesn't really want shooting unless it's with, like, hand flamers. Outlander Claw just wants to go fast. Yeah, Host of Ascension is the best you've probably got as an all-round detachment. But then you don't want transports. Transports do not work well in the Host of Ascension because they don't get any bonuses, really. Like, why are you coming from reserve with a unit in a transport? You could just have the unit Deep Strike instead. There are, of course, reasons you'd want to have a transport, but it doesn't work amazingly in the Host of Ascension compared to just going for it in the Outlander Claw detachment. Yeah, you can have Purestrains turn up from reserves and charge and have sustained hits. I've done that. It is fine. It doesn't feel anywhere near as good as Biosanctic Broodsurge or the Final Day. Because in the Final Day, you can have full rerolls to wound for stratagem, and you've got devastating wounds with the Patriarch. In the Biosanctic Broodsurge, you get an extra attack when you charge. The hybrids with the table saws, the Acolyte Hybrids with Autopistols. Yeah, the best melee? I think they're really good melee. The Metamorphs have great versatility in melee, 5 attacks at damage 1 or 3 attacks at damage 2. Depends what enemy you need to kill. And if you can stack on things like, oh, I've got sustained hits and lethal hits. Can you do that? Yeah, you could do that. That's entirely possible. Then suddenly they're really good. But I really like the Acolytes with mining tools. Damage 3, strength 5 isn't great. Sometimes you're wounding on 5s, but you have anti-vehicle 4+. That's the good thing. No anti-monster. The only anti-monster thing is the new Ravener Prime special person. Yeah, adding a Biophagus to either of them, Metamorphs or Acolytes, makes them really good. Oh yeah, they do amazing against Knights. I have not struggled against Knights with the Genestealer Cult. I think the worst I've had against Knights is a draw. And it was like really weird it was a draw. Oh, that was with Chaos Knights and they were battle shocking me the whole time. Yeah, Primus is an option. I would only go with one character for a unit of 10 Acolytes. Now, Primus rerolls all hits. All hits, it's combat or shooting. It's whatever you want to do with the Primus is great. Whenever your unit makes an attack, you can reroll the hit roll. But most people think of them with Neophytes. Getting lots of shots with the Neophytes. And sustained hits, and maybe lethal hits, depending on the detachment you're playing. So, let me bring up the tier list. Oh yeah, I won't be covering any Brood Brothers units, but there is, a video that's entirely every single Brood Brother unit that you can take and how good they are in the Brood Brothers Auxilia. I'm also not going to cover any Tyrannid units, but we've looked at the Raveners are like C tier, the Prime Ravener, Hyper-Adapted Raveners are maybe B tier, and the Gargoyles S tier, because they can move and shoot and always assault and objective control 2, and 9-inch deep strike, and move after shooting. So it's more like a 3-inch deep strike. It's really good for the Final Day. Has anyone really gotten into using the new mission deck? Because that's the big change as well. The new mission deck, not just the balance patch. We haven't had any real points changes. Oh yeah, we did. We had the Jackal Bikers come down by 5 points. And importantly, Jackal Bikers and Purestrain Genestealers are 2 resurgence points, not 3. There we go. We have a tier list. So we've got S tier, A, B, C, and D tier. Also known as Magus tier. So the S tier is going to be for units you always include or almost always include in like all detachments. A tier ones are generally good with good uses in most detachments. They're going to be like amazing in one detachment. The B tier units tend to be overshadowed, like they work, but there is an A tier unit that does it better. The C tier units will be good in one-ish detachment, and the D tier units don't include. They're not only overshadowed, they're bad. There will be so many units that do it better, including maybe units that aren't meant to do it better, but they do. Okay. So, chat, what unit would you like to start with? It can be whatever you want. We could start with Genestealers because they got a new thing. No, the S tier Clamavus does not exist. Neophytes. I'm happy to do Neophytes. Oh yeah, we're very, very strong on Neophytes. Okay. Neophytes notes. Neophytes, yes. Neophytes are much more popular in the Brood Brothers Auxilia. Let me find a little Neophyte face. Where's a Neophyte? There's a Neophyte. I'll just pop you there for the moment. The Blob of Krieg went up to 145 points, which is the same as the Neophytes. So if you're playing Brood Brothers Auxilia, I recommend taking Neophytes instead of going along the route of Krieg or Cadians or Catachans. I know Catachans can scout, but you have a couple of Flamers. That's not great when you could have a couple of mining lasers, a couple of seismic cannons, grenade launchers, and then Flamers. Or Webbers. Right, we'll see how far the Neophytes can rise up. They can kill light infantry pretty well. When they're by themselves, without any leader support, without any detachment support, they're not that great. They might be able to kill 8 orcs. That's the sort of level we're talking. If there's 20 of them. 10 of them can maybe kill a couple of people. You might be able to kill 1 Space Marine. Their job is more to get to objectives and sticky them and stay on the objectives. In the Host of Ascension, they can hold the line. They can deep strike 6 inches away and just block enemies with their massive line of bodies. They can shoot really well with sustained hits, with a chink in their armor, and I assume you're putting a Primus with them to reroll all hit rolls, and then you have sustained hits and lethal hits. Oh, and hey, why not have primed and readied as well, and then we get them on a 5+, re-rolling anything that isn't a 5 or a 6. In the Brood Brothers Auxilia, you do the same, have 20 Neophytes with a Primus, then you'll want to have the ability that gives you Overwatch on a 5+. What's the name of that enhancement? It's Cult Overseer? No. Firepoint Commander. That's the one. No one missed anything. And, yeah, so they're good in the Brood Brothers Auxilia. In Final Day, you could do the same thing and shoot a bit better. They're a great thing to hold objectives. Oh yeah, in the Brood Brothers Auxilia, give them an Iconward with the hero returned, or any character with the hero returned. Your Neophytes are now objective control 3 each. And with the Iconward, then you have a 5+ feel no pain. Now you have 20 bodies on an objective, objective control 3 each, 5 up feel no pain, and we regenerate D3 plus 3 models every command phase. Our own command phase. That is not getting shifted unless the enemy puts way more than the 20 points, no, 200 points that it costs to do that combo. it would be, hang on, 195, yeah, 215 points, and that is your forever objective. And if the enemy did shoot you off it entirely with like 1,000,000 guns, you have a plan generations in the making, it's a sticky objective, it's still yours. It's really hard to cut through 20 Neophytes that regenerate models. If they get shot in Host of Ascension, you can return to the shadows, come back and shoot again. You can tie up the enemy in the Xenocreed detachment. You can surge move into the enemies. Path of Anguish, I think that's the stratagem. That's the one that lets you slide into them. Yes, Path of Anguish. Acolytes or Neophytes can move d6 inches and can end in engagement range. That can get you onto an objective. That can get you not shot by more than one unit. That's very good. You don't need to limit it to just the Metamorphs doing that. They are so versatile and work so well. In the Outlander Claw, just to cover them all, then you can have units of 10 in trucks. They get out and they hold objectives. They have sticky objectives just as much as the Jackal Bikers. That's the unit you probably want to have in trucks. Some units in trucks. There's also Metamorphs, they work well. Acolytes in trucks. You can put quite a few things in trucks. I wouldn't put Purestrain Genestealers in trucks. Aberrants could go in trucks. That's for the truck section. I think we're happy that this is S tier. Do you think S tier? Where is... I'll do a poll. Click, start a poll. Neophytes. S tier or A tier? I don't think there's anyone going to say, nah, there's no way I would take Neophytes. There's very few times where I think, oh yeah, taking a squad of Neophytes is a good idea. Can trucks go in trucks like the Deathwatch Imperial Agents could? No, they have to transport infantry. Oh, there's so many things I would fix about the Imperial Agents Codex. I just want them to let me at it, and then I can just fix it. I will fix it for them. Give them a unit rule. Well, an army rule would be nice. Let's see, the Adeptus Astartes Deathwatch should have a Legends Proteus kill team and kill team Cassius. It's weird that you can take Deathwatch units and also the Imperial Agents kill team Cassius. It doesn't matter. It doesn't match things up. Homebrew and published so people can see. Yeah, I could. I don't know how many people would do it. I've suggested lots of army rules for the Imperial Agents before. Things like choose a character, you get +1 to wound against that character, or reroll wound rolls of 1 against the unit, or +1 to wound instead if it is a character. Okay. S tier Neophytes. Right, other requests. So, someone said the Clamavus, we can ignore that. Someone said bikes, we could do bikes. Never said Brood Brothers is good. Brood Brothers is still as bad as ever. But it's something we can work with, sort of. Maybe. I have done a video where I improved the entirety of the Genestealer Cult Codex from swapping the abilities of the Primus and the Nexus, improving the Magus, and yeah, fixing that Brood Brothers auxiliary detachment. We better not have a Clamavus on a bike. I mean, that would make the Clamavus a little bit better. Driving around and having an aura of don't touch me. What else does it do? It has potentially the ability to cause mortal wounds. In your command phase, pick an enemy within 18 inches to take a battle shock test. Oh yeah, it doesn't do mortal wounds anymore. That was an index thing. Yeah, and you affect enemy units. Okay, yeah, right, we'll do the Clamavus. Then people stop talking about the Clamavus. Clamavus. Put the Clamavus there. My Clamavus notes. We know that I hate the Clamavus. I think everyone knows I hate the Clamavus. It's a terrible concept. It exists as a model. And we have far too many character units already. But here's some more characters. That's what we got in 9th edition. I'm pretty sure it was 9th edition. Yeah, I have more creatures. So we got a DJ man. What are its rules? You never played him before. Good. Good for you. So it is a guy with 3 wounds. That's about it. There's a scrambler array so that enemies cannot be set up as reinforcements within 12 inches. And there's the voice of new truths. So in your command phase, you pick an enemy unit within 18 inches to take a battleshock test. In theory, if you had models on an objective and the enemy had models on an objective, you could make the enemy unit take a leadership test, and if they fail it, it's your objective in the command phase. That's the full extent of its rules. 50 points. 1 leadership test on 1 enemy unit, and only in the command phase is not great. Now it's only going to be affected for, like, his turn. Your turn, yeah. Being able to deny deep strike within 12 inches is not as good as having 10 neophytes. 10 neophytes are what, 15 points more? 60, I think it's 65 points for neophytes. Yeah, 65 points for neophytes. And the neophytes can stick your objectives. They can spread out a bit more. They have guns. They can do things. This is probably a guy that you don't want to use. Has anyone got any use out of a Clamavus in the last 6 months? Like, since January, since we had the change to resurgence points in December. Has anyone got anything good from the Clamavus? Because I'm pretty sure this guy's going to end up in D tier. Oh, you did one thing once. What was it, like, drop it and then you found some money on the pavement? Oh, denying teleporting Necrons? Yeah. If you know the enemy is going to have lots of teleportation, like Grey Knights, like the Crypt thingy, them Necrons, teleporting Necrons, then it can be nice for denial. If you're against enemy Genestealer Cult, it could work. If you put them on a flank, you could put them on your home objective. That's what I've seen a few times. If your home objective is out of line of sight, having just the Clamavus by itself there is okay. But I would rather have 10 Neophytes to sticky it and then move. Or have 5 Acolytes with mining tools because they can generate command points on your home objective. Yeah, we're not exactly short on models for screening out enemies. That's what I'm thinking. Ah, you only took him because you're missing 10 Acolytes, 10 Neophytes. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. Good. Oh, you had the model. Oh, you poor thing. Right, we'll look at the Clamavus. So I don't think he's a good choice, but I'll give you the options. The low options. There is nothing lower than D tier on this poll. Battle DJ should not go to the top rank. Battle DJ is a weird concept. It is easier to paint one character than 10, so how about a Reductus Saboteur? You get to be in charge of the music for the game. It's an interesting ability. Oh yeah, Warhammer Fantasy units do have musicians. I don't think it's something we can continue into 40k. I know that, like, Chaos Demons have it. They have trumpets and flutes and things. We don't need electronic music. Which other factions have musicians? You could say the Bone Singer for the Eldar. Yeah, there's the Noise Marines. D tier. Okay. Down he goes. Yeah, Goth Rockers. Do they have rules in 10th edition? I don't think they do. They did in 9th edition in a White Dwarf. That was fun for a bit. Yeah, Sloppity Bile Piper. Or Soppity. It might be Soppity. Just so they can, like, trademark Soppity rather than Sloppity. Let's see. Please pick the next unit to cover. Oh, it is Sloppity, yeah. The Jackal Alphus or the Ridgerunner? I can do the Jackal Alphus. Yeah, we'll do some bikey things. Alphus. Okay. So the Jackal Alphus is a character that you can have alone. They don't have lone operative. They do have stealth, so they can be a bit inconvenient to shoot. But it rarely works. They're able to get the angle for shots because of their speed and then moving after shooting. But it's not good damage, so it's not really useful to do it. The Sanctus sniper has a better sniper rifle. But you can drive around with a lone Alphus if you wanted to score victory points. In the Host of Ascension or the Brood Brothers Auxilia, you can tag enemy units, and then you get to reroll hit rolls of 1 when you're shooting that unit. It's very useful to have with Jackal Bikers in the Outlander Claw detachment, as a Warlord. You can drive 12 inches close, do your demolition run. There's 1 extra model in the unit, there's now 6 of them, so you can get the maximum of 6 mortal wounds. You can then throw grenades if you want. You can then shoot the enemy, and then you can move back 6 inches. I'm pretty sure you move backwards 6 inches with a Jackal Alphus. And then you don't charge. Yeah, 6 inches. You're not eligible to charge anyway, but the job of the bikers is to move block. You turn the bases sideways, you surround the enemy. That's an enemy unit that isn't going to move that turn. You can hold an enemy like 2 units up. It stops them getting onto an objective. There's units like, if they can fly, like Seraphim, Swooping Hawks. The bigger knights can walk over them, no problem. But the smaller knights, the armigers, I don't think they can. They're just regular vehicles. So you can hold up an enemy without ever charging them. And yes, the bikers will die. They have stealth, so they can survive okay. You've got 4 of them on 2 wounds, the 4 wound quad bike, and then the 4 wound Jackal Alphus. So that's 16 wounds to get through. Depends on the damage of the enemy weapons. If it's damage 2, they'll go down much faster than if it's damage 1. But blocking the enemy and still being able to control an objective gets you some victory points. That is wonderful. I'll put the back on the screen so we can see him while we're talking about him. It's very useful with Jackal Bikers. Jackal Bikers have become a bit more popular recently because they went to 2 resurgence points rather than 3, and their points went down to be equal to the Purestrain Genestealers. When it comes to the Purestrains or the Bikers, we can talk about the comparison between the 2. Right, so where are we thinking for the Jackal Alphus? They can work, they can be supportive in various detachments. You're not getting anything out of them in the Biosanctic Brood Surge, but in Final Day you can have... Oh, I've just done with B and C. I was going to add also another one, but I'm thinking probably B or C tier. In Final Day, if you have a Tyrannid unit near the enemy, then you can get +1 to hit, and with this Alphus, reroll hit rolls of 1 as well. It's shooting only, so if you want to go a bit more shooting in the Final Day detachment, this can work. I think B tier is probably reasonable. Once you've had a few more votes, because only 5 people have voted of the 55 that are present. B tier works. They are overshadowed by, say, a Sanctus sniper, or for the number of points they are. Jackal Alphus is 55 points. That's pretty cheap. 10 more points gives you a Reductus Saboteur if you want to be on or near objectives in the first turn. Very good in the Outlander Claw detachment. Generally, like, quite underrated. Like the Sanctus Sniper, their gun... It is higher strength, but it's still damage 3. Still precision. I've not seen many 3 wound characters around. They all seem to be 4 wounds or more. Like the lowest Orcs have is 4 wounds. I know there's some Sisters characters have 3 wounds, but the Palatine and the Canoness, apart from the Jump Canoness, have 4 wounds. Imperial Guard characters have 3, Kroot characters have 3, but almost all others are like 4 wounds or more. So I do like that the mission deck now has for Assassinate a different number of points depending on if it's a 3 wound character to a 4 wound character. That I think only works if you take it as a, I want to score this one and only this one all the time. Okay, we're going for B tier. It's currently in B tier. Right, what would we like next? So there's mention of Aberrants. I could do the regular bikers next. We could do that Ridgerunner. Whatever you want, chat. It's entirely up to you which unit. Because we've only got 3 on the board at the moment. Buzzsaw boys. Yeah, I can do the buzzsaws. I mean, everything's going to get done. So we want, where are they called? Acolytes. With Autopistols. And they look a bit like, let's use Snippy Toolman. There's a Snippy Toolman. You're thinking A tier already for them? Right. I use these mainly for combat. Other people say, no, I've got like Metamorphs or Purestrains, especially in like the Biosanctuary Brute Surge and the Final Day detachment. You have other units that can do combat well. Then you'll want a unit of 5 that generates command points and they can stay on your home objective. That's 2 ways to use them. But I like that damage 3. That can really mess people up. Things like Possessed, Mega Knobs. They really hate the damage 3. You'd be wounding them on 5s, but every 5 at AP -2, it's on their invulnerable save, and Mega Knobs, it's on their 4+ normal save. That kills them pretty quickly. Metamorphs may be better against damage 1 and 1 wound and 2 wound enemies, but remember that behind the mining tools, you also have a bunch of claws. In a unit of 10, you can have 6 mining tools, a leader, an icon bearer with some claws, and 2 other guys with claws. They're damage 1, they have AP -1. That's perfectly fine. With some Ridgerunner support, it's extra nasty. Is a Final Day detachment with Gargoyles and Von Ryan's Leapers, a unit of Bikers. Yeah, that's an okay list. That can work. You're getting your Genestealer Cult units close to the enemy, and you're getting your Tyrannid units close to the enemy. That works together. I use a 10-man with Biophagus and Primus in the Host of Ascension. Yeah, that's pretty nasty. I don't think you need to also add the Primus. The rerolled hit rolls is nice, but the lethal hits and sustained hits is usually enough to destroy most tanks. The demo charge Handflamer Acolytes might be better at like clawing at enemies. They get to reroll wound rolls on objectives. It was unfortunate when the index ended and the codex came out and they split the Acolytes, so the Mining Tool Acolytes can no longer have reroll wound rolls on objectives. But never mind. I really like the combat mining tools. In Final Day, you get +1 to hit. Now you're hitting on a 2+. In the Biosanctuary Brute Surge, you attach a Biophagus, and then they get 1 more attack when they charge. Very nasty. In Xenocreed, there is a, like, I'm going to overcharge my weapon kind of stratagem. What's that one called? I'll get the name. Frenzied Devotion. You get 1 more attack and +1 weapon skill. And then you have Hazardous. But it's worth it. Usually. If you're going to be attacking an enemy you can actually damage, it's worth it. Sometimes if it's like a toughness 6 enemy with a 2+ save, then you're going to really struggle, same as always. What are the ones we got? Yeah, it might actually be better if the 2 kinds of Acolytes had their special rules swapped. Like the Acolytes with Hand Flamers could generate the command points, and the Acolytes with the mining tools got the full rerolls to hit. Full rerolls to wound when attacking enemies on objectives. That'd be nice. Yeah, so these acolytes with mining tools, they have no guns. It's just the mining tools. And then the banner, you always want a banner. Yeah, rerolling wounds on a strength 5 mining tool. It was fun. It was fun. But yeah, demolition charges are what everyone took. In the Host of Ascension, I can have them with the Biophagus, also a Locus. Any detachment, acolytes with a Locus. That gives you fight first. You get charged and the enemy dies first. They would have to shoot you to death. And then, I can see where Locus with Metamorphs might be good for like moving into combat. The Pauper Prince's detachment is the Xenocreed. Yeah. Acolytes with mining tools are really good, but are they as good as, say, Acolytes with hand flamers? Acolytes with mining tools are 2 resurgence points, same as, well, Jackal Bikers now, Purestrain Genestealers, Acolytes with hand flamers. They can still deploy from Deep Strike and complete secondary missions, and they are like 5 or 10 points cheaper than the Hand Flamer Acolytes. Hand Flamer Acolytes are 70 points, Acolytes with Autopistols are 65 points. So if you really need to save 5, then you can potentially get some stuff. And yet, land on like an empty objective. In the following turn, you could generate a command point, potentially. Sit on the home objective and potentially generate a command point, yeah. Battle Sisters with Buzzsaws. You're describing Repentia. Those already exist. For a lot of tournament lists, I've seen people just skipping the mining tool acolytes, which is a shame. Because I really think they're good. But they might be, say, B tier, very overshadowed by all of the other units that do a very similar job and have very similar points. Depends what you think. There's a voting poll thing on screen if you want to look up from your painting or gaming and quickly click a button. In the Xenocreed detachment, having lots and lots of mining tool acolytes is very useful. Oh, and in the Xenocreed detachment, as long as you have a character with them, any character, you can reroll advance and charge rolls. And there is a stratagem to advance and charge. So you can have them with the Primus or one of the non-main 3 of Magus, Primus, and Iconward, like the Biophagus, like the Locus. Then you're still advancing and charging. And you're still rerolling advance rolls and charge rolls. It's very nasty. And yeah, it ties up the enemy. Okay, with that many votes, I think we've decided they're going in A tier. There we go. Okay, chat, pick the next unit. We've done 4 so far. I wonder if next time I should have like just the 4 tiers. And I don't have to scroll. That could work. Because C tier and B tier are going to feel very similar. C tier is like, okay, they're not great, but there is this one time in one place we can do them. Locus. Okay, I've got 2 votes for Locus, so I'll do the Locus. Locus person. The Locus is all about fighting first. They have the bodyguard rule, so you can add them to add another character to the unit. In Neophytes, which you don't, and Acolytes, not Metamorphs. Neophytes and Acolytes can have 2 characters. If one of them is a Locus and another character is there, then that other character has a Feel No Pain 4+ against, like, precision attacks. It's not going to be useful in the Xenocreed detachment because they already have a 3+ Feel No Pain. There's the Locus. Fight First is exceptional. Fight First is like, okay, you're facing Blood Angels, World Eaters, Space Wolves, Orcs. These enemies are going to have a really bad time of it. Are there any good places to get female Genestealer cultists that aren't weird because an all-female Genestealer cult accounts cool? There's quite a few female Genestealer cult heads, not on the Neophytes kit, but the Jackal bikers have quite a few. So they have bandanas. I've used some of the bald Battle Sister heads. There's like one Seraphim head is bald. One of the regular Battle Sister heads is bald. I can't think of any third-party places that does... This is like a female Genestealer cult, but that's it entirely. I could see it working. You could... There's Escher heads. You could just shave their heads. You think that fight first is easy to counter? You gotta charge something else and then like consolidate into the fight first unit. I don't have that many units on the board near the Locus to make that happen. I don't think fight first is that easy to counter at all. And you only have one Locus in your army. At least I only have one Locus in my army. So there's only ever one unit that's like, this is the unit that fights first. It's not like, oh, I've got two fight first units, both of which were charged at once, so only one of them will get to fight first. I think it's generally difficult to counter fight first units. Easy B tier and whatever the worst attachment is for it? Well, best attachment is probably going to be Xenocreed. No, but then we're thinking like, that's an attacking detachment where you rush up the board. You want a defensive thing. Host of Ascension, they are pretty good. It's great to rapid ingress with a Locus, because then you're right there. And if you're near an enemy unit that, say, doesn't have very good guns, like one of their close combat units, you're 9 inches away, you want to get charged. The enemy won't charge you, and then you can move and charge the enemy, and it's a really easy 3-inch charge. I mean, they're perfectly usable in, like, the Brood Brothers Auxilia. There's an enhancement to let you heroically intervene. What's that one called? Adaptive Reprisal? Yeah. Friendly Genestealer Cult units within 9 can heroically intervene for 0 command points. That includes the unit itself. You can... I don't think you can double up with a Biophagus. No, you can't have a Biophagus and a Locus in the same unit, so they're not great for the Biosanctum Brood Surge. You'll almost always want to have more Biophagus. Yeah, you can put them near a tank and then, hey, I heroically intervene, or get charged. It gives you some fighting when you're in a detachment that's very much shooting. I found the Locust does really well. Even against shooting armies, they're pretty good at a profile. 5 attacks at strength 5, -2, and damage 2. Hitting on a 2. That's the sort of thing you'd expect from, well, it's a Space Marine Lieutenant's attack profile. That's just the power sword of a Space Marine Lieutenant. But we get fight first. And we are like 30 points cheaper than a Lieutenant. Yeah, we're squishy at like toughness 4, 3 wounds. 4+ invulnerable save. Is that only in combat? No, that's all the time. Always a 4+ invulnerable save. Take that, Clamavus. So there's a lot of places that the Locust can go. And a lot of tiers they can fit in. So, Locust... I'll see how many options I can give. Okay, it gives me 3 options. I think it works in more than one detachment, so we'll skip C tier and we'll vote on if it's S, A, B, or D tier. How is the Genestealer Cult dealing with the high skill floor Warpbane task force from the Grey Knights? I don't know. It's an okay Grey Knight detachment. I don't think it's like super amazing. I think they've mostly been going for their regular detachment. Which isn't called the Warpbane one. It's called the Teleport Strike Force. Yeah, I think Teleport Strike Force has been doing better than Warpbane. Unless that's somehow a joke? Yeah, we generally do well against the Grey Knights. Grey Knights don't have that many attacks per model. They're high strength, they're damage 2. That doesn't bother us when we're toughness 4 and have 1 wound. They're wounding us on a 3, and we die, but so would like a Chaos Space Marine. Oh, I thought Warpane's actually better, you think? Interesting. I've played both of them just casually, and I found that the Teleport Strike Force was the better one. The stratagems aren't amazing in either. Because I've played as them, I've just had like, what do the Death Watch want to do if we were more Grey Knights? Where is that dropped? Because I had it as an idea when we became Imperial Agents, like, okay, which other armies could we be? Could we play as Chaos Space Marines and see how that goes? Yeah, we teleport around, they teleport around. They can only teleport certain units around, but we have the bodies to, like, keep them away. You have to squeeze all the rerolls and synergies out of the list. It's okay. Is it considered poor form to bring 30 Infernus Marines against the Genestealer Cult? Well, it depends on the detachment that the Genestealer Cult have. I mean, you're only going to overwatch with one of those units per turn. So you can always throw, say, 5 Genestealers against one of those units. They're going to have to overwatch that or just accept the charge, and then you charge them with something else. In the Biocyclic Brood Surge, you can do like a multi-charge stratagem. In the final day, you can do a similar thing, and in the final day, there's an enhancement to say no overwatch allowed. So I think it should be okay, and it's very short range. So the problem is like deep striking, not 9 inches away with like massive squads of neophytes, being like 13 inches away and then shooting, which does reduce the amount of shots they have. It's inconvenient, but it still should be workable. I have certainly disliked lots of flamers as Genestealer Cult, but I've been able to make it work. Right, we're putting the Locus in A tier. That sounds reasonable. I don't think I have any other notes on the Locus. He's the cheapest character as well, with a 4+ save, so if we didn't have all of the other units of 5 to turn up and do secondary missions and primary missions, there's a guy that could do it. Yeah, I think it's only in the Biocyclic Brood Surge that I don't take a Locus, and that's because I want a Biophagus instead, in whatever unit that the Locus would have been leading. Okay, next unit, please. Oh, yeah. Fall back and shoot with Infernus Marines? Yeah, that's pretty nasty. Flamer Acolytes. We can do some Flamer Acolytes. We've done the Acolytes with mining tools, and I think the last time we did this tier list, they were at the end. So, very well. Let's do the Acolytes with Flamers and Demolition Charges. This is a great unit to have as a small unit of 5. I mean, you can have them as a unit of 10, but about the only time they work as a unit of 10 is in the Host of Ascension. Then I'm thinking, oh yeah, we'll take 4 Demolition Charges. Otherwise, a unit of 10, which is just 10 Hand Flamers, then you can see, ah yes, you have Infernus Marines, I have my own Infernus Flamer team. You could put them in a vehicle, have them pop out. They fully reroll wound rolls against enemies on objectives anyway, but if you're attacking an enemy that's not on an objective, disembarking from a truck makes you also work. It's redundancy, but it's redundancy you can use. In the Host of Ascension, there is the stratagem that lets you arrive 6 inches away. What's the name of that? Tunnel Crawlers. Yeah, Tunnel Crawlers. You arrive 6 inches away, which means you're in 8-inch demolition charge range and also grenade range. Yeah, I think they're a good support unit. Lots of like small units of 5 of them. That's usually what I do. So a small unit of 5 can pop up, complete a mission, take an objective. If it's empty, they can kill light infantry with their hand flamers. I wouldn't take demolition charges except in the Host of Ascension, and even then, on a unit of 5, I wouldn't usually take demo charges. Hand flamers are easier to just burn away things like Chaos Cultists, Kroot, Tau Fire Warriors, if people are taking Tau Fire Warriors. They can arrive in the enemy deployment zone to get behind enemy lines. They can be in whatever table quarter you need them to be in. They're pretty cheap to do that. And they're good enough at fighting that they can fight if need be. But even in Host of Ascension, if you want to do a demo charge build, you can. You could use a Nexus, then the stratagem is free. You could do a Benefactus with the Assassination Edict. Then you have lethal hits, then you have sustained hits, then you have +1 to hit against enemy characters. So it can delete enemy character combos like 10 intercessors with a lieutenant. I've seen that before, pretty recently. I would always take an icon as well, just to have the, yeah, we get back up. No, there's no enhancements to give them more shots. How do the grenades work? That is a stratagem. Anything with the grenades keyword can use the stratagem. 1 command point, you roll 6 dice. For every 4+, the targeted enemy unit takes a mortal wound. It's something you could do, but the Host of Ascension especially is very command point hungry for that big turn strike, and maybe the turn afterwards if you want to split it up. Because you could do the Primus and some Neophytes in one turn, and you could do Benefactus with Flame Acolytes in another turn. Or you could do them both at once, and just hope you have enough command points that you've mined on your home objective with the Acolytes with mining tools. You rarely do. So I've considered taking a Nexus before, just to have that. I have the one stratagem thing that I need. But then Host of Ascension is the only place that I take the Nexus. Let's think. We're now a little bit clashing with the 5 Purestrains, because for 5 points more, you can have 5 Purestrain Genestealers do exactly the same things that I've just described. Turn up in the enemy deployment zone. Take empty objectives. You'd be charging, but you could clear light infantry. That's the only thing the Purestrain Genestealers lack. They don't have guns. The Acolytes with hand flamers do. These are now 2 resurgence points to get 5 Purestrains back. And the 5 Purestrains have 2 wounds. Yes, it is a cup of tea. That's the thing I didn't spill. Not that I did. Not that anyone heard that. Purestrains have more wounds and can last a bit longer if they get attacked, because that's 10 wounds compared to the Acolytes' 5 wounds. Is there an argument for not bringing the banner with the squads that get one? Only in this unit, this Acolyte with Hand Flamer squad, because you have to give up a Hand Flamer to have the banner. I think that's perfectly reasonable. Then I can... it's an eternal pain thing. If I don't need it, because the enemy hasn't shot me at all, I wish I had one more Hand Flamer. Except if I have it, 3 of them will get shot and I'll be left with 2 guys who get battle shocked, and then the unit can't really do anything. So I wish I then had the icon. So it's only in this Acolytes with Hand Flamers thing, that squad, that I'd really say, yeah, you can get away without an icon. You could with Metamorphs as well, have all Hand Flamers. But Metamorphs, I would also want the icon, because I have a feel no pain of 5+, then that's more bodies that will potentially stay alive for even longer. That'd be really good. Are the Acolytes any good into Death Guard? You're talking Strength 3 Hand Flamers against Toughness 6 Death Guard, so you'd have to shoot at the Poxwalkers, then you're wounding on 5s. That can take down quite a few of them. Clawing them is okay. They're a good unit into the Poxwalkers, is maybe a better thing to say. Yeah, that's probably about all you're going to get from them. They're not going to be good into any of the other Toughness 6 or vehicles. At that point, you would want the other kind of Acolytes, the Acolytes with mining tools. Alright, let's grade these Acolytes. So, Flamer Acolytes. Are they going to be an S tier? Are they going to be an A tier? Are they going to be a B tier? I'm thinking S tier because I take them in all of the detachments as a unit of 5. It could be A tier because they're, do we say generally good? Generally good with good use in most detachments, rather than almost always include in almost all detachments. Or are they B tier because they're overshadowed by some Acolytes with mining tools, or now the Purestrains who can turn up and do very much the same thing for 5 points more. We're saying S tier. S tier is very reasonable. Okay, I'll end them on S tier. Now I know we had a lot of requests for the next unit. You'll have to say in the chat again which unit you want to do. All of them will get done, of course. So, Acolytes... I've already got them out. S tier. So they go right next to the Neophytes. So there you go. Whenever you're making any detachment list, have some Neophytes, have some Acolytes with hand flamers. Maybe if against the Death Guard, you might want to take some demo charges just in case you use them. Hammer Lady. Yeah, I can do Hammer Lady. We'll do Big Hammer Lady. We like Big Hammer Lady on this channel. So we'll move Big Hammer Lady, the Abominant, up to here. There she is in her dungarees. Hello. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Right, the Abominant is a model character that's 95 points. That's kind of expensive, but it's okay. She can function without the Aberrants, whereas the Aberrants really want a character leading them. You can use the Abominant in much the same way as the Acolytes with their hand flamers. You can pop up in the enemy deployment zone, and it is much harder to screen out one model. On a, I think, 40mm base. Yeah, where the Acolytes and the Aberrants are on 32mm bases. So you can use it to complete missions, even if you fail your charge. And if you don't fail your charge, you smash things. She has 4 combat las cannon attacks. And if she's destroyed, she can come back like Celestine on a 2+. So it's very hard to keep an Abominant down. With the Aberrant unit, then every model there can fight on death. That includes the Abominant. So the whole unit might get wiped out, the Abominant might fight on death, and then get back up again. The only time I can think where the, oh yes, I can get back up, but it's not that great, is if the enemy is a very versatile army, like many Space Marines, that can shoot well and then fight well. Eldar might also be able to do that, depending on which units they have nearby, because they're all very specialized. But Eldar tend to die pretty quickly to the Genestealer Cult. It's been a while since I faced Eldar. It was back in the Index times when the Genestealer Cult were amazing and the Eldar were amazing, and you kept seeing the two of them pair off at each other. Except when the Eldar paired off against other Eldar. Very nasty. What have we got? Yeah. Oh yeah, it's an extra tanky version because you get back up on full wounds. It's not like the Deathwatch Captain Artemis who gets back up on 1 wound. You think it feels like elite units are just paper? It kind of can feel like that. The general feeling in this edition is you have to stack your combos on top of each other and you get rewarded for doing so. So you'd have the Abominant with Aberrants, and then you'd play the Biosanctic Brood Surge, and then you'd use one of the stratagems. Let's find it. Good stratagems to use. Yeah, I don't find the stratagems in the Biosanctic Brood Surge to be that great. There's +1 to charge, which you can have extra bonuses on. There's +1 to wound against enemy monsters and vehicles. And yeah, there's piling a bit more. That's not great. But stacking things more the Host of Ascension style, where you got the Primus, plus primed and readied, plus a chink in their armor, plus the detachment rule of sustained hits and ignore cover, and all of that together, and you do it multiple times. That is what this edition is all about. It's getting all of those combos together as much as you can. So things do feel very lethal. I mean, even the Imperial Knights. I like that the Imperial Knights have changed so they don't have a 2+ save, apart from the super special ones. They have a 3+ save, they have a lower toughness, and they have more wounds. Now it feels more satisfying to be like, haha, I chipped off 4 wounds. That's going a bit further towards your 28 wounds that you have rather than your 22 wounds. But they are much easier to wound. And there's a lot of dying easily unless you use defensive stratagems like Armor of Contempt. It's part of the tabletop CR Smith. It's like, yeah, if someone was playing with movie Marines, is what we used to call them back in like 3rd edition, 4th edition, if they were like they are in the lore, then your army would be about 5 Space Marines. And it would be like playing Space Marine 2. And the enemy would have, 200 Neophytes, and your 5 Space Marines would be equally matched for them. Oh, I know, at the start of 10th edition, they're like, we're scaling back the lethality. And it's like, they sort of did a little bit. One of the important things they did was finally take away the capping stats at 10. Because you couldn't have, like, a toughness higher than 10 or a strength. Now you've got las cannons at strength 12, you've got tanks with toughness 13. It really helped the tanks to become more durable, and that was the thing they needed. Because a toughness 7 Rhino is not that tough. Bolters are wounding on a 5+. Now that it's toughness 8, okay, that's a mild improvement. Or it's more. Yeah, they scaled back the lethality on some things, until you combine things all together. Yeah, Custodes maybe are too powerful for normal 40k. I've never liked Custodes in 40k. I'm okay with them in 30k when they were around a lot. In 40k, I feel they would work much better being 2 or 3 units within the Imperial Agents. But that's a controversial opinion. What else have I got to say about the Abominant? Oh yeah, you can do Saintly Paroxysm, so you can die and do, is it 2d3 mortal wounds? Yeah, 2d3 mortal wounds, and then you get back up, and if you die again, you can Saintly Paroxysm again. In the Xenocreed detachment, you could have an Abominant by themselves, and when they get killed, then you've got Vengeance for the Martyr. The enemy unit that destroyed you is, for Acolytes, Neophytes, and Metamorphs, they can all reroll hit rolls of 1 against that enemy unit, and yet your Abominant is totally fine. I think... Oh, we lost Lightning Claws as well as, like, Power Fists and things. Yeah, okay. Abominant. Okay, I've generally put the Abominant around, like, A or B tier. Because you can operate alone. You can operate rather well with Aberrants, but then the Aberrants are more of a delivery method for the Abominant. At which point you could just put the Abominant in a truck. Have the truck zoom along with other things inside. Oh, in Final Day, you can get +1 to hit. In you can have the enhancement in the Final Day to have sustained hits, or there's the Host of Ascension detachment rule, but you only have 4 attacks, which is unfortunate. If I'm trying to hold a objective, I prefer 1 big hammer to 5 Acolytes. Unless I was trying to, like, clear an objective with just some cultists on it, then the Acolytes with Hand Flamers would be better. Let's throw out it on the poll. I don't think it's going to be S tier. I can't see me going, oh yeah, I need the Abominant in every single detachment. So A or B or C tier. B tier? We got a strong showing for B tier. Or is it A tier? A tier's ahead, right? we'll let people vote on that. While we're doing that, I would like to mention a thing I'm pushing a bit more. On the link in the description, the Ko-fi link, which is where people give me tip money. So if you want a message to appear in the middle of the screen, in the middle of the stream, it'll pop up from the bottom right as whatever you put as your tip money message. But also, I have tiers. That's where you are subscribed to the Ko-fi. And one of the tiers, the top tier, is the Inner Circle Advice tier, where I will sit with you digitally over like Discord, and I will make an army list for you. So people getting into Genestealer Cult or Adeptus Sororitas have said, yep, that is exactly what I want. I would love to talk with you for like half an hour about the models I've got, about an army list I can use. So what you usually do is send me like a list of all the units you have before the chat, then I'll make an army list for you, and then we'll talk about the tactics you use in the army list. I think it's a bit lower than that. I think it's 21 places left for July. So if you want to do that, if that's going to be helpful to make sure that I'm giving you personalized advice rather than general advice, as I'm giving now to everyone, that's an option at the Ko-fi link in the description. Let's make sure I put that. Yeah, we do have that in the description. Okay, good. I've mentioned it. Right, we're going for A tier for the Abominant. That is £20 for that service. Let me see. What button was I clicking? There, that one. Abominant, A tier. That's what it ended on. Yeah, the problem with 40k from a narrative point of view is you want all of the factions to be cool. Yeah, you want there to be a company of Imperial Guardsmen. However, a company of Imperial Guardsmen cannot take on like 20 Chaos Space Marines. Excellent. So maybe some people are interested in my thing that I'm selling that's in Ko-fi. That's help from me. Good, good. That helps pay the bills. That's why I'm pushing it a bit more. Because loads of other people have like, oh yeah, join our training course, which just means you get to be essentially watching a YouTube video at the same time as everyone else that asks questions. But isn't that what a YouTube comment section is? So this is much more, hey, I'm going to help you individually to get started or to make a new army list and work through some tactics that you can use with the units you've got. Right, next unit. Give me some things in chat, please. Tell me what you want. We have so many options still. We've got the Patriarch, the Primus, the Sanctus, the Biophagus, we've got Metamorphs. There's a lot. We could do something bad because that Sanctus is looking pretty lonely down in D tier. Yeah, the talk would be over Discord. I can do other things if you don't have a Discord. Rockgrinder, Sanctus, Goliath Rockgrinder. Yeah, got 2 for Rockgrinder, so I'll do the Rockgrinder. We have to do democracy today because, you know, at time of recording, the United States is a separate country not controlled by Britain. Democracy may be relevant to the country you live in, though. Anyway, don't look up the democracy like tier list online. Let's talk about the Goliath Rockgrinder. That looks like the Rockgrinder. Oh yeah, doing a Genestealer Cult rebellion against Chaos. That's what my Genestealer Cult are doing. That's their theme. They fight Chaos Space Marines. Well, Chaos Cultists. We can say whoops and God save the king. Perfectly reasonable. Oh, thank me for the stream. Genestealer Cult is still an army you're learning from essentially the Deathwatch box. Oh yeah, Deathwatch Overkill. Really nice box. I played that game again pretty recently. It's still most of the missions hold up pretty well. If you draw like the Patriarch attacks and the Purestrain Genestealers attack, you tend to die. But generally, it's a really fun game. It definitely feels like you are, what, 4 or 5 Marines wading through several hundred Acolytes and Neophytes at once. Because they just keep recycling. And then you're like, oh, I'll shoot my one bolt gun shot. Oh yeah, but I'll use this special ammunition. Boom, I kill 3 people. Amazing. Now I'm going to do it again. I recommend Deathwatch Overkill if you can get it. And then you can go crazy like me and start a Genestealer Cult army and a Deathwatch army from that one box. The Rockgrinder. Rockgrinder is transport, not a dedicated transport. So you can't scout with it with Metamorphs. It's where you can put something like the 5-man Acolyte Demolition Team. You could put some characters like the Abominant. I really would put my 5-man unit in reserve. Unless you had demo charges, you're like, I really want to use demo charges and I'm not in the Host of Ascension, then you would put them in a Rockgrinder or a Goliath Truck. Then you can blow them off an objective and you get full rerolls to wound, or you get full rerolls to wound anyway. Goliath Truck is probably the way to go in that case. The Rockgrinder can have a big gun, but you can have the same cheaper heavy mining laser with the Ridgerunner. Fewer points that way. The Rockgrinder doesn't quite have the toughness to charge up the board. I think it's inferior to the Ridgerunner if you want the gun. I think it's inferior to the Goliath Truck if you want transport. Because the Rockgrinder doesn't have any transport bonuses, its whole thing is enemies that get chewed up if they try and retreat from you. So Goliath Rockgrinder, where are you? Let me see some more of your rules. You always have to take a Desperate Escape test. If you're a battle shocked, it's at -1. You got the Demolition Cache, same as the Goliath Truck. Heavy Mining Laser, Heavy Seismic Cannon, that one's unique to the Goliath Rockgrinder. But if you want the Heavy Mining Laser, you'll want to take the Ridgerunner. It's got 10 wounds and toughness 10. It doesn't hold up to much shooting. It goes down relatively quickly. Yeah, you could put 3 Sanctus assassins in there. That's fine. Yeah, the Demolition Lady. Reductus Saboteur. You could put a Reductus Saboteur in there, but you can also do that with a regular truck, and then she'll get full rerolls to wound with her demolition charges and her indirect fire. Whichever one you shoot at the Goliath Truck at first, then the models inside get out and do it. 3 Benefactus, then you're looking at the Outlander Claw and one of the enhancements. Let me get to it. Cartographic Data Leech? Yeah, each time you're in a transport, when you fire out the firing deck, improve the ballistic skill of the shots by 1. That is fine. But it's, what's its, how many? Firing deck 6. So you transport 6, you can have 6 people shoot out the top. That's okay. I think you're getting very expensive and it's going to be a gimmick. And toughness 10, 10 wounds, and a 3+ save, not even a 2+ save. It's not going to last. I'm thinking this is a C tier or a D tier. It's way too many points to be a B tier. Even if you had a combat unit like Aberrants that doesn't want to use the truck special rule, the truck is cheaper, the truck can carry more models. And a Goliath Truck is toughness 9? Yeah, it's a difference of 1 toughness. You're paying 35 points more for 1 more toughness. And a smaller transport capacity. So when we put this on a pole, Rockgrinder, I know you can do have the Aberrants get out, have the Aberrants charge the enemy, have the Rockgrinder charge a different enemy or the same enemy. Then it can sort of work. But you can do the same with the Goliath Truck. You get tank shock all the same. Which is where you roll a dice for every point of toughness. Ooh, 1 fewer dice, but it's on 5, so you're averaging 3 or 3.1 mortal wounds. You're still saying B tier though. Interesting, because I would have definitely gone for C tier or D tier. And I can't remember what we did last time. It's been months at least. What is the Genestealer Cult's strongest detachment competitively? That varies from person to person. I think it's the Host of Ascension. When I go tournament, event style, then I take the Host of Ascension. Other people have gotten quite a lot out of the Biosanctic Brute Surge, but I find the stratagems to be so weak in that detachment. It's a lot of get your aberrants, and that means the Abominant, into combat, and that's about it really. Final Day is pretty good if you can use your Tyrannid units correctly. If you can use your Lictors and other lone operative Tyrannids to complete secondary missions, and you can also get your Gargoyles close enough so that when you charge in your Purestrain Genestealers, your Aberrants, whatever else you want, whether it's shooting or combat, you're able to perfectly maneuver things so they're just in range, and hope the enemy doesn't overwatch your Gargoyles. Then you do okay. I think the Host of Ascension is the best one, but we've seen victories from Host of Ascension, Biosanctic Brood Surge, Final Day have been doing well. The Outlander Claw isn't doing as well since they got nerfed in, I think it was about December. It might have been earlier. That might have been September. But I think it was about December time. Thank you very much, Prof. Wisteria. I think they're all... Yeah, Xenocreed Congregation has won before with someone who knew exactly how to have that many Acolytes, move them very quickly with like movement trays, like the plasticky ones you can get, I think, or you make your own movement tray, and not die in the process. Loyalist Space Marines in a kind of generic place, yeah, which keeps surprising me. I would have thought, hang on a minute, shouldn't we be doing better? Because their Oath of Moment with the +1 to wound is really, really strong. In my Deathwatch armies, I'm taking Sternguard now. And also Vanguard Veterans, because they have jump packs and they're only 5 points more than regular Assault Marines with jump packs. Assault Intercessors with jump packs, they're called. And I don't know how many points the older, like Legends versions are. They're a similar amount of points. Let me have a look. Because I also had guys on foot. Assault Marines on foot. But they have generally been overtaken by the much cheaper Assault Intercessors. Because the Assault Intercessors are 75 points. The Assault Marines, what were they called? Ah yes, Assault Squad. The Assault Squad is 95 points, so it's 25 points more to get some Plasma Pistols and sustained hits or lethal hits or lance. That's still quite nice. If you're doing an Assault Squad with jump packs, it's 115 points. No, I think people will want the Assault Intercessors with jump packs, or I suggest the Vanguard Veterans, because instead of 90 points, it's 95, but you get much better weapons. You can have 5 Plasma Pistols that way, or 5 Inferno Pistols. It works nicer. And the Sternguard getting full rerolls to hit and full rerolls to wound, and you get +1 to wound if you're not with the Deathwatch. It's very tasty. You've got a squad of Assault Marines with jump packs that I use as Assault Intercessors with jump packs. Very sensible. Should I use them as the Vanguard squad instead? It depends what you've got as pistols. If you're happy to pretend they've all got plasma pistols, then that's fine. I'm fine because I had like 2 squads, so between the 2 squads and the sergeants, I have 5 guys with plasma pistols, so they've all obviously got plasma pistols and jump packs. And then I've got the ones from like Kill Team Cassius, so there's Lightning Claws and there's Hand Flamers. Yeah, the Horus Heresy Assault Squad, that works as well. Very nice kit. Much cheaper than the Assault Intercessor with the jump pack, because it's like £35 for 5, or you can get £40 for 10. Which is great. But still, Space Marines are not doing that well competitively, especially there's been no boost now that Marneus Calgar and Guilliman are not as good together. Right, we've said B tier for this guy. Okay, B tier it is. Okay. I had a penguin. One of them biscuits. Bring back the background music. Here we go. How often do I stream? Normally, once a month. More recently, I've been doing it once a week, because I did one last week, and did I do one the week before? I would have to check my own channel. It's like a crazy person. Who does that? Live stream. Okay, no, I've just done last week and then today. And I probably should be able to do one next week. Yeah. And perhaps then the week after as well, because it'll be the 18th when there'll be this live streaming thing on. So yeah, apparently I stream once a week now. But normally it's once a month. YouTube also wants me to stream more often. It says I'll get more money that way. I don't necessarily believe it. It's like, hey, but if you get people to super chat... No, it's okay. It's okay. We'll just be here together doing tier lists of Genestealer Cult stuff. But thank you if you want to do tip money. Ko-fi's a better way to do it than through YouTube. Because then YouTube doesn't get the money, I get all the money. What was the joke on the wrapper? Why are penguin shops so busy? It's because the fish fill it. That's actually funny. Okay. Yeah. So many times things. Right, give me another unit. Before I start talking about YouTube and streaming and all sorts. You don't get the joke. The fish fill it. It's busy because the fish fill it. It's filled with fish. Sometimes the pun is like polar bear. Or it's ice related. Sometimes penguins are the joke because it's a penguin. It's a pun. A fish fillet is also a kind of food. It's a polarizing joke, is it? North or South Pole? Right, someone said Sanctus. Someone's paying attention. Let's do a Sanctus. So you get two kinds of Sanctus. It's the same profile. You can have a Sanctus with a knife. Or you can have a Sanctus with a sniper rifle. Let me bring up the Sanctus. There he is. So this is the model with a knife. I mean, it's the same model with the sniper, just the other arm. It's not pronounced filet. Who pronounces it filet? How elegantly French. Nah, it's fish fillet. Right, Sanctus. It does what the Reductus Saboteur does, but without bombs, and they're 15 points cheaper. The Sanctus is also cheaper than a Metamorph. The face is totally fine. You have a very specific use of the sniper rifle, which is range attacks and against snipers. You have, is it Anti-Psyker 2 Plus? I'm pretty sure it's Anti-Psyker 2 Plus. Now that can be really useful against any unit that has a Psyker in the unit. Just because you have the precision rule doesn't mean you have to use the precision rule. But a unit with a Psyker will be affected by the anti-Psyker part. So if there was a Space Marine Librarian with Terminators, so it's a Space Marine Librarian in Terminator armor with Terminators, you would wound them on a 2+, and then you could kill a Terminator instead of half wounding a Space Marine Librarian. That's the best way to do it, I think. You can also do things like wound the... whatever the Neuro Tyrant's carrying with them. Hive Guard? No, Tyrant Guard? They're called Tyrant Guard. Not if it's like the little Neurothrope. Neurogaunts. Little Neurogaunt things. Because the anti-Psyker Sniper is so specialized, unless you're in a ranged detachment like the Host of Ascension or the Brood Brothers Auxilia, then I would go for the knife version, which is generally considered better. Then, instead of the reactive move, you have the you're not hit by Overwatch. So just don't get hit by Overwatch. You still pick a unit at the start of the start of the game to be your prey. You get to reroll hit rolls and wound rolls against them. One shot with a sniper rifle isn't getting as much out of it as 6 attacks with a bio dagger at anti-infantry 3+. Full rerolls to wound, 2 damage. Go stab some Space Marines. Go stab Space Marine characters. It generally works if you pick them to be your prey at the start. You can have them jump out of a truck, you can have them jump out of the midboard, because if they're in no man's land, that's where you can start them, as they can infiltrate. So you can leave them around on the middle of the table, completing secondary missions, standing on objectives, because they're also lone operative and can't be shot. So it's like the Reductus Saboteur, but cheaper, without the bombs. This is the sniper, the Sanctus sniper or knife person. So, if you don't want to pay the points for Reductus Saboteur, I generally take the Sanctus. Knife Sanctus looks a bit cooler. When would you take the knife over the sniper? So in any of the other detachments. Things where you want a bit more combat. So Xenocreed Congregation, you could charge in the Sanctus first, then other units are not being shot by Overwatch, because you cannot shoot the Sanctus with Overwatch. As long as they succeed at their charge, that enemy unit cannot fire Overwatch. In the Biosanctic Brood Surge, you do the same thing. And then your other units, like your Aberrants, they can use the stratagem to get +1 to charge, which boosts on top of the already existing detachment rule. So now you've got a 7-inch charge for 1 command point. In the Outlander Claw, I would still take the knife, just jump out of a vehicle. You should somewhere have transport space, because the Goliath Truck can transport 12 models. So you can have like 5 Acolytes or 10 Neophytes, and then throw in a couple of other characters, like the Reductus Saboteur, like the Sanctus. I also generally prefer the Demolition Lady, but if I've been short of points, like when the Neophytes went up to 145 points instead of 130 points, that's where I saved 15 points. Keep the 20 Neophytes, but drop a Reductus Saboteur into a Sanctus. So I see how they're not quite as good as a Reductus Saboteur. So they may want to be, do we say B tier for Overshadowed? Yeah, probably B tier. So Sanctus, are we A tier? Are we B tier? Or is it not that great? I don't want to consider them, and it's a C tier. Do triple Sanctus? Yeah, 150 points though. And they're pretty easy to kill at 3 wounds, toughness 3, and a 5+ invulnerable save. You casually backhand them when they don't kill things, so you tend to throw them in with support, or if you desperately want to kill one enemy character because you have the assassination mission, you send in the assassin. Or you really want to get rid of a character that like is regenerating the unit, like a Wraithseer, stab them to death. Or what else have we got? Some of the Necrons do crazy stuff. Some of the enhancements that's like, oh yeah, my entire unit has sustained hits and lethal hits. The equivalent of the Primus. Kill like the Palatine that's in a squad of Repentia in the Penitent Host. Suddenly the Repentia are nowhere near as good. A Fremen? Where are the Fremen from? Are they June? That sounds like June. Yeah, I thought it was a June thing. I read part of the first book of June, and then I was told how long it is, and then I just didn't want to read the rest of it. It gets to a point where, no, this is like The Wheel of Time or The Game of Thrones. It's too many books. And I haven't seen the newer films. I've seen the older films with Patrick Stewart. That was okay. And weirdly sexy men doing knife fighting in front of rocks. Forget about everything. Great. Okay, we're saying B tier for the Sanctus. So we stay there in B tier. The new movies are good. Oh, there was a TV show? There's been so much stuff. I can't keep up with all of the stuff. I still have a backlog of movies and episodes and things to watch. What's on my movies and episodes and things to watch? I still have to see Godzilla -1. That's there. I need to see that. I'm watching Anne of Green Gables, but it's Anne Shirley. The name is confusing because the book is called Anne of Green Gables, but the anime series is called Anne Shirley, and it's a new version, not to be confused with the 1980s like Anne of Green Gables. That's a whole thing about a Canadian girl who grows up in Canada. It's fun. It's nice and gentle, mostly. Orphans, many orphans. But that's a thing on the list. I don't know what else has come out recently, film-wise. Yeah, Prince Edward Island, that's it. Which is in Canada, I think. Must be in Canada. Or is it the British part of Canada that's still there? Yes, Canadian province now. It might not have been at the time. Anyway, back to Genestealer Cult, as we say. What's the next unit? We could have... We've done the Locus. We've done the Clamavus. Kaboom Lady? Yeah? Reductus Saboteur. Okay, we're definitely doing the Reductus Saboteur. Reductus Saboteur. Bomb Lady. Where are you? Why am I not seeing a Bomb Lady in this list? Do I need to add my own Bomb Lady? Yeah, looks like I do. Okay, that's fine. Choose a file. Then I go to the folder where I keep all my Genestealer Cult hidden. Genestealer Cult, Genestealer Cult, Reductus Saboteur. There you are. You go there for now. Okay. What's something that dynamite throwing Genestealer Cult should be good at? Well, blowing up generally Marines. They're damage too, demolition charges, so you can blow up a big squad of Marines. That can work pretty well. Ooh. Thank you very much for the 20 monies. Anonymous person. That's very nice of you. Okay, so what does Bomb Lady do? Bomb Lady has stealth. Bomb Lady can infiltrate. Bomb Lady can deep strike, but of course she can deep strike. She's in the Genestealer Cult army. She's a lone operative, so you can't shoot her very easily. She does not like getting into fights. And she has a planted explosive, so if enemy units move within 9 inches of her, on a 2+, they suffer D3+3 mortal wounds. If you can get her set up hidden out of sight, like in the corner of a ruin, where there's a sufficient wall where she can't be shot, then enemy units coming near to, say, objectives that are nearby, they've got to pick whether they take some mortal wounds on whatever fast unit is getting there, or they want to wait and then send in some chaff and have the chaff blow up and then go to the objective. It's a difficult choice for your enemy, and sometimes you can paralyze the thought process, and when they're thinking about that, they're not thinking about all of the other things like how they can kill you or how they can outscore you. The Reductus Saboteur, while she's out of line of sight, can use remote explosives. It's not that effective. It's indirect fire, it's blast, it's strength 5, it's D6 plus 3 shots. Her big thing is demo charges, which are one shot, but every time she attacks in the shooting phase, you can use the grenade stratagem for free, as long as no one else has used it. I've never yet rolled a 1 on the Reductus Saboteur. What has sometimes happened is they'll move really fast towards me and like, oh no, they ended like 9.5 inches away and they can see me, so they're also within low operative range, so they can shoot me. So sometimes I've gone for the Sanctus just to be like, I don't want to wait that long. I'll just take the cheaper model, and then I get the reactive move with the sniper when the enemy, if the enemy moves within 6 inches, which they don't. They don't want to do that. Yeah, it's a lot of like, make the enemy think. That can be upsetting for them. So, what else can you do? I think that's all of the things. You can jump out of a vehicle in the Outlander Claw. That can be very useful. Because then you can re-roll your... I mean, I'm saying Outlander Claw. It could be any detachment, but it's when you have a truck, a basic truck, and then you can re-roll your wound rolls with your demolition charge, which is once per game. You hit on a 3+ with the Reductus Saboteur, rather than the 5+ with the Acolytes, and at strength 9, you're probably wounding, but we might as well get some more in there. It's assault as well if you really want to run towards an enemy and then throw it, but if you do that, you can't use the grenade stratagem. So, assuming you don't roll a 1, you can blow up enemies from behind a building. And also, her main job is to complete secondary missions. That's what I think of it. Because you're near objectives. You're there at the start of the game. Don't start on an objective, because then you're usually out in the open. It depends on the terrain that you're using. And then you can just walk over there, complete a secondary mission, complete a primary mission. If the enemy isn't going to come towards you because they know that you have the remote explosives, you can score primary in your next turn. I don't know what else she does. That's tend to be what I use her for. Not being shot, because you can't shoot her outside of 12 inches. It is relatively easy to get within those 12 inches though. Oh, she's exploded a Repulsor Executioner. Good. I really dislike the Repulsor Executioner when I'm playing Genestealer Cult, because that's the one with... Oh no, I'm thinking of the Gladiator Reaper. Still, it's a big tank. It's a big tank. Yeah, not being shot is pretty nice in a battle. That's why being behind a ruin is way better than being in the ruin. Not being shot is better than the benefit of cover, which can of course be denied. So many things have like ignore cover. Not everything, but considering the amount of things that also cause the benefit of cover essentially. Like, oh yeah, I'm firing a squad of Repentia. Well, okay, the Repentia Superior is firing her bolt pistol, but one Repentia cannot see your unit, therefore you get the benefit of cover against this pistol, even though you're out in the open. Ignore cover, yes. Imperial agents in one detachment can do that. And there's a couple of things like the shotgun people. They have, I think it's the cat, that will let you ignore cover. That could be an army rule. Just have that as the Imperial Agent's army rule. Everything ignores cover. Right, what are we thinking for Bomb Lady? Bomb Lady, I would generally say is A tier, but of course it is your choice. Bomb Lady, are you taking her in every detachment? In which case she is S tier. Are you taking her most of the time in most detachments? Then it's A tier. If you think, yeah, she's good, but there's someone else I want instead, then it's B tier. And if you're like, okay, in this one detachment, at this one time, then she's great. That would be C tier. Oh yeah, Tau can do it. Votan especially. There's quite a lot of, yeah, this special ability means I ignore cover. I keep forgetting how many guns the Saboteur has. You can have like 2 missiles, one of which has multiple firing profiles, or you can have a multi-shot las cannon. And that's just on a little truck. Tau Acolytes, do they ignore cover? Is that something different? I think that's what the Acolytes do. I'm trying to think how long it's been since I played against Tau, which wasn't a heavy crewed army. Yeah, Acolytes give ignore cover. Thank you. Right, we'll put this lady in S tier. Up you go. And then give me the next unit. We've done 10. We have 13 left. How about, while you're thinking of the next one, I do the drill. Because the drill goes there. The drill can't move. The drill exists. It has objective control 0, so you can't even control objectives with it. It's annoying to destroy, but what's the point of it? What does it do? It gives you the benefit of cover, and you can move your cult ambush markers that were destroyed next to it. We don't use cult ambush markers these days. Cult ambush is strategic reserves, but you can't use rapid ingress. That's all that cult ambush is. So it's a D tier for this Tectonic Frag drill. It's way too many points. Way too many points. Okay, what do we want? Yeah, fortifications are not great. The drill is boring. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Fortifications, yeah, this Games Workshop hasn't been able to figure out rules for fortifications and flyers. They were added in like 7th edition as, hey, look at these cool expansions. We have books for them. Now you can do siege warfare. You can do aerial warfare. And that's about it. That's about all you can manage. Yeah, Horus Heresy has the mining drill thing, and I think quite a few armies can use that in Legends. Okay, give me another unit. Any other unit. Otherwise, I'll just pick the next one in my notes. Which is the Patriarch. Magus. Okay, we'll do the Magus. If we're thinking D tier, why not do the Magus? I'm going to put them there. I don't think anyone is going to dispute the Magus in D tier. But, you know, maybe they will. Maybe it can get as high as C tier. So what the Magus does, their ability is in the enemy shooting phase, you pick one enemy unit within 18 inches. I think it's 18 inches. You don't need line of sight with it. That's something that was different from the index to the codex. You roll a dice. On a 1, you take D3 mortal wounds on your model. On a 2 to 5, the enemy is -1 to hit. On a 6, the enemy is -1 to hit and wound. That can be inconvenient. If the enemy has Tau shooting or Votan shooting that's hitting on a 4+, now it's hitting on a 5+, Orcs are now hitting on a 6+. That's something. We can get lucky, but we can't rely on luck to, like, succeed at a revolution. They're a main character in the Xenocreed detachment, and you can have them killed if they're running alone, and then use Vengeance for the Martyr stratagem. That gives all of them... Let's see. That means all of your Acolytes, Metamorphs, and Neophytes can reroll hit rolls against that one enemy unit. So maybe the enemy will think twice about what they use. Can she cast Curse of Arrow Attraction? I like that in the old world. It's a fun thing. It's -1 to hit. Once per game you can boost that to 24 inches, and if you ever need to, if it's like, oh yeah, there's the enemy's big gun thing, Gladiator Reaper for example, make them -1 to hit. Just do that. If you're using a Magus, which I know most of the time you won't. What else was I thinking? Oh yeah, if the enemy has full rerolls to hit, like Oath of Moment, it's not worth it. Use it on some other unit. Right, that's Magus still in D tier. It's a shame. They could have been better when the Codex came around, but in this edition, Games Workshop also doesn't like the Psychic Phase. Psychic Phase is gone. It's now just special abilities and unit rules. That's all the Psychic Phase is. Sometimes things have the Psychic keyword, and we have the Sanctus Sniper with the Anti-Psyker ability to deal with them. Alright, what were the other units you wanted other than the Magus? Who's our next Genestealer Cult unit? Maybe the Psychic Phase will come back. I don't know if the Magus or the Patriarch would be higher level. I think they usually put the Patriarch as the higher level one. And in the old world rules, they just did an FAQ to tone down wizard levels. Yeah, we'll do the Jackal Bikers. Oh, so we've done the Jackal Alphus, but we haven't done the Jackal Bikers. So our Jackal Bikers, there's a bike. They have been changed since the last balance patch. It is now 2 resurgence points to bring back a unit of 5, at which point I do not take units of 10. You get to do a demolition run once per turn. It's only in your turn when you move. But you can do up to 6 mortal wounds, and if you have the Alphas, there's your 6 models. You roll 1 dice for every model in your unit, so the maximum you can get is 6. The maximum dice you roll then is 6. Potentially you could cause 6 mortal wounds. We know that you're more likely to do like 2, 3 or 4 wounds. But that's pretty good. Their shooting isn't awful. There's a grenade launcher, there's a mining laser. You can have a flamer. Can you have a seismic cannon thing? This is on the Wolf Quad. Oh no, it's the Heavy Stubber. Heavy Stubber, Incinerator or Mining Laser. I recommend the Mining Laser, which still has the strong Strength 12 profile AP -3. The Neophyte version, I think, is weaker. Mining Laser, yeah, that's Strength 10, AP -3. And the Atalan Jackals version hits on a 4+, so please take the Mining Laser. You have 12 wounds, which is pretty tasty, and you get more wounds than the exactly the same price pointed Purestrain Genestealers. Atalan Jackals are 75 points for 5, Purestrain Genestealers are 75 points for 5. So the bikers can scout 9 inches, they have stealth, they're inconvenient to get shot. Their only drawback is if you want to bring them back by cult ambush, then they have to turn up on a board edge like strategic reserves because they don't have cult ambush. No, they do have cult ambush, they don't have deep strike. Could you put them on bicycles instead of motorcycles and what, be like the First World War Belgians? I mean, the Japanese used bicycles in the Second World War. The British used it in their courier system in the First World War. I think the first casualty in the First World War of an English person, not necessarily British because there was war in Africa, started first. But an English person killed was like a courier on a bicycle in Belgium getting shot. So yeah, use bicycles instead of motorcycles. Why not? And the smoke is just fireworks that they have. Anything else the Jackal Bikers do? Scout is nice. I like Scout because you know who's going first. If you are going first, then you can scout forward, get onto an objective. If you're going second, hide. I still prefer Infiltrate. It can't exactly replace the Purestrain Genestealers. I'm trying to think of people who use the Jackal Bikers outside the Outlander Claw. You can use them in any detachment to get in front of the enemy, tie them up and distract them. They're decent in the Brood Brothers Auxilia because of the number of shots. Outlander Claw gives them objective secured. Yeah. That works. And you also have the vehicles that have higher objective control. I would still take Neophytes at the same time, but the Jackal Bikers get much better in the Outlander Claw. So if you think only in the Outlander Claw, then you should put them in C tier. So, bikes. If you think, hey, 75 points, doesn't matter, I'm always taking Purestrain Genestealers instead, always, then that's more like D tier. They can't Genestealer jail. If you move them forward enough, they have a wider base, so they can take up more space. Is it worth taking them in Biosanctic Brood Surge? I think Biosanctic Brood Surge would be the worst place for them, because that's where you have a unit that's exactly the same points as Purestrain Genestealers, and the Purestrain Genestealers get the bonuses from the detachment and can use the stratagems. The Atalan Jackals cannot use any stratagems in the Biosanctic Brood Surge. I would think the worst place for them is the Biosanctic Brood Surge. But it's fun. If I'm taking, like, if, say, I had some blocking units. I might have a unit of 10 Genestealers with a Patriarch, a unit of 5 Genestealers, and I'll take some bikes instead of a second squad of 5 Genestealers. Paint them as white scars. Oh, they're fun to paint. They're pretty quick to paint considering like the size of the model, because it's a relatively thin frame. And you get the fun of, there's so many parts on the kit. You've got an axe, you've got a crowbar, you've got a guy swinging a demolition charge, just like a mine that you'd attach to something. There's no one carrying a wrench, but you've got someone firing pistols, you've got Uzis. They look pretty good. It's a nice looking kit. And it's much more heads, many more heads than the Neophytes have. It's a good way to combine them. And you get bandanas if you want to hide your Genestealer cultiness. Genestealer Cults seem to be lacking long-range anti-tank without Brood Brothers. Yeah, you have to do like Host of Ascension, mining lasers, seismic cannons, lethal hits, sustained hits. Then you've got it. Otherwise, it's all in combat. Lethal hits with Metamorphs, with a Biophagus, or mining tool Acolytes with those damage 3 anti-vehicle 4+ at mining saws. We don't really do anti-monster, anti-vehicle at range. We don't really do anti-monster in close range. Okay, C tier. As it seems it's very much still a, yeah, we do these in the Outlander Claw and not really many other places. They're fun. I like them. It still feels a toss-up to me whether it's Purestrains or it's Outland Jackals. I am almost always going for the Purestrains though. Almost always. But these are fun. Brave Brood Brothers swarming over. Yeah, the little ones are replaceable, and there's a stratagem in the Brood Brothers Auxiliary to say, you can shoot at these, it's fine. It shouldn't be 2 command points, but you can shoot at these, it's fine. I wonder if the Brood Brothers will get any kind of boost before the edition ends. And then in 11th edition, we have to think, will they do a big reset and go back to like an index, or will they try and continue on the detachments we have? At which point we end up with like an absurd number of detachments because there's Grotmus, and we'll be seeing, hoping there's another one next year. So we get another detachment. So we're looking at 6 to 8 detachments, more if you're a Space Marine of course, for every faction, and then taking that over into another edition. I think they might just do a big reset again. Not like major reset, like, oh, the rules are totally different, but reset the different detachments down to index, or cut it down to like 2 or 3. Yeah, then they can sell you the detachments you previously had, and they can be like, oh yeah, allies, it's 25% again, or something similar. Let's see. Right, give me another unit. I saw some in the chat before, but I've forgotten what they were. We have the Patriarch, the Primus, the Ridgerunner, the Biophagus, the Truck, the Iconward, Nexus, Aberrants, Clamavus, or Metamorphs. Metamorphs. Yeah, for the rules for the Brood Brothers kill team from the game Kill Team, I use Kazakin rules. Because you've got a melter gun, you've got a plasma gun, you've got a sniper rifle, you've got a power sword on the leader, you can say they have a plasma pistol. You just want extra melter gun, extra plasma gun, but it can work because you can have 2 of each when you're playing Kazakin. I'll move them into the middle, and this is the model I'm using to represent Metamorphs today, with the Metamorph Claw, Metamorph Head, and a Hand Flamer. I've been playing Metamorphs, well, I've been trying to get the Metamorphs to work in the Index, and it didn't really work, ever. Then they got the ability to surge move, and suddenly they were so great. I don't know what the massive change was, but I was able to get Metamorphs to work. And I think also the points came down a little bit. Or maybe the Acolytes got worse. That was probably the thing. Why would you ever take Metamorphs when for fewer points you can have Purestrain Genestealers or Acolytes with demo chargers who can blow things to Kingdom Come? Metamorphs can scout. That is good. I like having a truck full of them with Hand Flamers, and then when you disembark you get full rerolls to wound with the Hand Flamers. That is something that the Acolytes with Hand Flamers already get, but now Metamorphs get it. The Metamorphs are great for killing light infantry that way, then they're good for fighting any kind of infantry. They have damage 1 attacks, or they have damage 2 attacks. They can be strength 5, they can be strength 4, whatever you need. They can hurt toughness 9 tanks with their strength 5 AP -1/2 damage attacks. And surge moves make enemies stay like 6 inches away. Oh, maybe they could get onto the objective, but if they shoot you, you will surge move into them. So they're great for, yeah, I'm on an objective now. You have to charge me, and you don't want to charge me. So I like having a Locus with them. They lose Scout, but they get Fight First. You don't usually need Fight First and a Surge move together, because when you Surge move, it is not your turn. And as the player whose turn it isn't, and the unit you surged into didn't charge, your Metamorphs will usually fight before the enemy. But a Locus can guarantee that. I've never wanted to put a Primus with them for full reroll to hit, because they have enough attacks anyway. Hitting on a 3+, that's fine. I much prefer the Locus or a Biophagus. They're really good. I think they're an alternative to Mining Tool Acolytes. Mining Tool Acolytes are, of course, quite a bit cheaper. Metamorphs are, 80 points. 80 points for 5, compared to the 65 points of Acolytes with Mining Tools. But the Hybrid Metamorphs also get a 5+ Feel No Pain. That's some endurance. That's the equivalent endurance of Acolytes with an Iconward. I've just given up putting Acolytes with an Iconward because it's 10 models. Now you're getting a Feel No Pain, it's not great. Boosting the Metamorphs Feel No Pain to a 4+ isn't super worth it, so I'll take 20 Neophytes please with an Iconward. But we're not doing the Iconward yet. We're still on the Metamorphs. So Metamorphs, let's see. I'll do the Iconward next, of course. Metamorphs. They're so good. The Feel No Pain does indeed do a lot of work. So I'll put in S tier as an option, which is where every detachment all the time I want them. They're definitely not a D tier unit now. Not since the index ended. A tier is, do we say, I'll take them in most detachments most of the time. B tier is, they're good. They're okay. But there is a unit I will always take that does it better. And C tier is, oh yeah, this is only in one detachment. Like the Xenocreed detachment, they are good. In the Biosanctuary Brood Surge, they're also good. Attach a Biophagus to them, and they have access to like most of the stratagems and the detachment rule, which gives them an extra attack. That is 4 attacks at strength 5, AP -1/2 damage, or 6 attacks at strength 4, AP -1/1 damage, with the lethal hits that the Biophagus provides. And we're saying, oh yeah, that's very strong for A tier. I am happy to put them in A tier. Up we go. Right, I said I'd do the Iconward next. Iconward, hello. So what do I think of the Iconward? If he had the same ability as a regular cult icon, I would like him much better. That would be like double bringing back, even if it was D3 models, that would be great. If you want him for just the Feel No Pain on a unit of Acolytes or Metamorphs, he is too many points. That is 50 points. For like 15 points more, you can have 5 more Acolytes. So I wouldn't take him with Acolytes. His other ability is you can move cult ambush markers near to him if they are destroyed, but we don't really need cult ambush markers anymore. He can scout, so it's saying, oh, please, please put this guy with the Metamorphs. Then they get a better Feel No Pain, and it's the only character that can scout, but I don't really want to. I would rather have any other character. So the Iconward in my forces is just for leading the Neophytes. But then you can't have a Iconward and a Primus in the same unit, because they're the same like tier 1 characters. So you've got to pick, do you want a Primus for, yeah, like 90 points for a Primus? They're still very expensive, aren't they? 80 points for a Primus. Or do you want an Iconward? It depends if you're going to make an attacking unit or defensive unit. You can zoom forward in a truck, and the Metamorphs if you know what you're doing, and the Xenocreed detachment. Then you got Scout. Then you disembark, then you advance and charge. In the Brood Brothers Auxilia, you can give them the Hero Returned enhancement, which boosts the objective control of Neophytes to objective control 3. And then you don't need to care about doing damage. You just hold one objective for the whole game, and the enemy can do nothing about it because of how difficult it is to get through 20 bodies with a 5+ Feel No Pain and Resurrection. And even if they're able to get some models onto the objective, you have objective control 3 per body. Or normally objective control 2. The Hero Returned enhancement is entirely optional. Then it works. A Locus, an Iconward, and a Clamavus is your full command group. Yes, you're thinking very Warhammer Fantasy. Or would it be a Primus, an Iconward, and a Clamavus? Yeah, shame you can't do all of them. Okay, Iconward. I think the Iconward is either going to be a C tier where, yeah, I can see one use for them, or it's going to be more of a D tier because I don't want to consider them. And I'd put them in the same level as a Magus for consideration. There's nothing else I can think of doing with them. I mean, in the Host of Ascension, there's nothing fantastic. No, it's just, hey, this is a character that isn't the Primus. And then you're locked out with the Primus. C tier? Alright, we can go with C tier. I think last time we did say D tier. There we go. Right, give me another character or unit. We have 8 left. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters, 2 vehicles, and 1 unit. Did someone want to do Aberrants? I think Aberrants were requested. Nexus? Oh, we can do the Nexus. Alright, Nexus. So, the thing about the Nexus, they make your stratagems 1 command point cheaper. They also do a thing where you can move around blips, but it's not often that necessary. It's just like, hey, do you want to do a mini game while you're in the middle of your opponent's turn? So the Nexus only works if you're in a detachment with good stratagems that you can use on that unit. So the Brood Brothers Auxilia has terrible stratagems. You don't need a Nexus. The Biosanctic Brood Surge is limited in terms of which units you can use them on. It's only like Aberrant units, Purestrain units, and any units with the Biophagus. You can't have a Biophagus and a Nexus in the same unit, so the Nexus is absolutely terrible in the Biosanctic Brood Surge. I mean, maybe they can do a Saintly Paroxysm and cause D3 mortal wounds for free. That's not something you want to spend 50 command points on. 50 points on. Otherwise you're relying on the grenade stratagem, which is not the worst, but it is kind of bad. You can put them in various units in the Host of Ascension. You can put them in various units in the Xenocreed detachment, like Acolytes, Metamorphs, Neophytes. All of them can use the detachment rules and stratagems in the Xenocreed detachment. In the Host of Ascension, that's the place I use them, if I use a Nexus, because then you have the resources for tunnel crawlers, primed and readied, if you want to have 20 guys with big bombs turning up and blowing up the enemy, have a Nexus with Assassination Edict. That can work. In the Xenocreed, the problem is they're going towards the enemy, and the Nexus doesn't want to be towards the enemy. The Locus is happy going towards the enemy. The Primus isn't too bad going towards the enemy. But what I've done for even my Host of Ascension like tournament list, I swapped out the Nexus for another Biophagus. Because the Biophagus, I think they're exactly the same points. Biophagus, 50 points. And Nexus, 60 points. Okay, yeah, I was saving 10 points. That must have been for maybe some more Neophytes. That's not great. Hey, Misfit. I think it's probably a D tier character. I mean, it's C tier because it only works in one detachment. It's up to you again. But I think that's the level we're working with. No one's chiming in to say, oh no, there's this really great idea you haven't thought of. So it's C tier if you're like, I can make it work very well in the Host of Ascension or Xenocreed, whichever one is your preference. Or it's D tier if, no, just no. I'll take any other character instead. And it looks like we're swinging very much towards that D tier. Yeah. That's a D tier. Okay. I'll put the Nexus down in D tier. Which unit would you like next? The Biophagus surprised me. I thought he'd buff survivability instead of fighting. Maybe, yeah. That's a thought. Maybe the Biophagus and like the Iconward have their abilities the wrong way around. Interesting idea. But the Biophagus is more like, here's some chemical warfare things. And, you know, let's poison up your stuff. Yeah, let's do Aberrants. Let's do the Aberrants. So, hello, Aberrants. The Aberrants are, of course, very good in the Biosanctum Brute Surge. Then they get +1 to charge. They get +1 attack, which is needed. They're only damage 2, so their attacks seem to fall flat compared to the much cheaper Acolytes with Mining Tools. Acolytes with Mining Tools are 130 points for 10. Aberrants are 135 points for 5. And then are Acolytes with Mining Tools 2 attacks each? Yeah, 2 attacks per Mining Tool. So you're getting 12 attacks with Mining Tools, or you're getting 15 attacks with Aberrant Weapons. The sign doesn't have its own special rule anymore. And there's no Hypermorph Tail attack anymore. Ah, well. Hulking Bodyguard, so they're -1 to be wounded. If the strength of the attack is higher than their toughness, they're toughness 6, so that's getting a bit more difficult, and that only works when there's a character. So this isn't like the Celestine Sacrosanct of the Battle Sisters, where it's all the time. As soon as you have a character in the unit, it's -1 to be wounded. The Aberrants are on that very specific time that you are higher strength than their toughness. Toughness 6 is pretty nice, 3 wounds is pretty nice, Feel No Pain 5+ is pretty nice. They're S tier in Biosanctum Brood Surge. Yeah, I would probably, that's B tier, A tier, A tier. I would just at least say A tier in Biosanctum Brood Surge. You think B tier in everything else? B tier and everything else. Let's see. What other notes do I have? They can function without an Abominant, but with the -1 to wound, they can take some damage from small arms. 5+ save and the 5+ Feel No Pain can give you some resistance. They can be in a transport. They can infiltrate with the Abominant or Biophagus in the Biosanctum Brood Surge, which is what I like to do. Then you rush forward, and then you, like, block the enemy. In much the same way as the Bikers do and the Purestrains do, but if the enemy charges the Aberrants, they're not getting through them unless they're really powerful. You can deep strike and hurt things if you make the charge in the Biosanctum Brood Surge, or in the Host of Ascension with Our Time is Now enhancement. That's a 7-inch charge. If you put that on an Abominant or a Biophagus, you can have them sit on an objective and be tough, but that's not ideal. But tying up the enemies that can't hurt them is pretty good. They're sort of versatile. Strength 7 is nice against heavy infantry, as is the damage 2, but you're wounding Space Marines on a 3, basic Space Marines. So are the Acolytes with Mining Tools. And they really need a character to work. They're very much a, here's a base unit, but you need to add the character and the enhancement to get anything really out of them. It may be Biosanctum Brood Surge or bust, in which case they would end up going in C tier. Increasingly, I'm not doing Biosanctum Brood Surge in Final Day. Even though I know they do well, I can't make them used. I can't use them so well. It might be a me issue. I can't get the hammers to work. But I think it's going to be a C tier. Let me put up a poll for you. Aberrants. B tier, C tier, D tier. I don't think they're getting to A tier where you're thinking, oh yeah, aberrants, of course. These days I take aberrants in in most attachments. I can't see aberrants working in most attachments. Final day you can get +1 to hit. That's useful on their number of attacks, their small number of attacks. You haven't got sustained hits from the Abominant anymore. That's not what their ability does, which is a shame. Biosanctic Brute Surge is just where you go, and maybe it's B tier for other units. So I think C tier because there is one good detachment for them, and that's about it. Yeah, they're probably the most C tier unit that ever C tiered. Okay. We keep talking about the Biophagus, so I'll do the Biophagus while we're still on the aberrants in our mind. They can help against high toughness enemies for the aberrants because, hey, now you have lethal hits. Pop you up there for the moment. They can join quite a few units. They can join Metamorphs, at which point the once per game ability of the Biophagus gives you +1 to wound against infantry. That's what the little Alchemicus Familiar does. So that means your Strength 5 Metamorphs, with their damage to attacks, can wound Space Marines on a 2+. It means they can wound even tougher things like Death Guard things that are toughness 6 on a 4+. That's really quite useful. And the Death Guard infantry, the basic infantry of the Death Guard, don't have a Feel No Pain anymore. It's just toughness 6, 2 wounds, 3+ save. I say just, but that toughness 6 is really annoying to get through. You have lethal hits. That's great against things like orcs. Oh yeah, it does so good against orcs. +1 to wound, and now we're wounding on a 4+. No, 3+. 3+ against orcs with the strength 5 attacks. But then we've got lethal hits. Oh, I would maybe take the many attacks. 5 attacks with lethal hits. Wounding on now 4s. Yeah, I would go for that. If I'm using the once per game Alchemicus Familiar, do that against the toughness 5 and 6 enemies. What else they got? I see your question. I'll answer your question in a second when I can think about it. Lethal hits is good against vehicles that you're otherwise wounding on a 5+. It's good for anti-tank stuff. Well, sort of good for anti-tank. It's viable for anti-tank stuff. Not as viable as a Strength 12 Abominant Hammer, but it's viable. It's so good for anti-infantry things. We don't need too much help with anti-infantry, but it makes your Metamorphs, your Acolytes, a lot better. And your aberrants. But if you're taking aberrants, you're probably in the Biosanctic Brute Surge, then you probably want an Abominant. I think the Biophagus works in most detachments. They're a necessary leader in the Biosanctic Brute Surge, and they're fantastic in the Host of Ascension, where you can get lethal hits and sustained hits. So am I going to go with Biophagus? Are we saying S tier? Are we saying A tier? Are we saying B tier? Or are we like, actually there's only one detachment I've ever had them work in, and that's the Biosanctic Brute Surge, where you have to take them to make your army work. That would be a very insulting C tier. Otherwise the B tier thinking is, it's an overshadowed unit, there's another unit that does it better. I think it's A tier for generally good, works well in most detachments, if not all detachments. As soon as you're doing combat, a Biophagus is really nice. As soon as I got a Biophagus, life became better. I think we're set on A tier. Okay. Up you go to A tier. Right, odd question. How stable have army lists been for Genestealer Cult this edition? Have balance patches changed the list radically, or was it the same units? Now, the Death Watch, I just want to mention the Death Watch. Since their index was re-released in December, all they've had is a few points up on the Terminators. And only 5 Terminators. Their army lists have been exactly the same for the last 7 months. The Genestealer Cult have fluctuated a little bit. There have been quite a few turbulent balance patches, and we had the whole thing in December of, oh hey, now you use resurgence points, you don't roll a dice to see if your unit comes back. You'll almost always want a few small units of 5 Acolytes, Or now, you could use Genestealers. It's a few points more, but it's a unit that pops up, completes a mission, and then maybe dies. I'm also seeing more people taking in Host of Ascension even, Atalan Jackals. Maybe just one unit, but Atalan Jackals are suddenly getting used in like competitive detachments. And I change detachment quite often because it's fun. You have so many detachments to choose from, why would you not use them? So the lists drastically change by which detachment you're in. Whether you've got lots of transport, or maybe one transport, or if you got more bikes, or one unit of bikes, or if you have loads of Purestrains, or not many Purestrains. Even in the Biosanctuary Brood Surge, I will take one unit of Aberrants. Because my idea of Biosanctuary Brood Surge is Purestrain Genestealers. You may use Biosanctuary Brood Surge for the Aberrants. We are not the same. I'll take lots of Purestrains, thank you. Unit of 10 and 2 more units of 5. Shame they're not battle line. But that's what I'll take for my Purestrains. And then I'll also have a Biophagus or 2 with other units that want to do damage, Metamorphs and Acolytes. Then I have Neophyte squads running around. Having a couple of squads of 10 Neophytes in the background is a good idea in, I think, every detachment. If I'm not using 5 Acolytes to hold my home objective, and I'm instead using 10 Neophytes, I usually use 10 Neophytes to be honest, then as soon as the enemy's reserves are committed, I move on to another objective with them. Which is usually turn 2, sometimes turn 3. It seems that the more I wait, the more my opponent waits. Depends who goes first as well. So yeah, the army lists have changed quite a lot, but Reductus Saboteurs have been a strong choice all edition, as have big squads and small squads of Neophytes, as have small squads of Acolytes. We have about 4 units left to do. 5 units left to do. We have a Patriarch, we have a Primus, we have the Ridgerunner, we have the Truck, and we have the Clamavus. What do you want? The Cowboy. Oh, Cowboy. Right, we'll do the fan favorite Cowboy. Will you be upset if I put him in D tier? Yes, I'm sure you would be, but I don't care. Metamorph. I can't be doing things based on people's feelings. We're running a resistance here. I mean, yes, he's S tier for Cowboy theme. Today is a Cowboy theme? I don't know. I don't know if you count 1779 as being the start of Cowboys, because you didn't really have Cowboys. It was just people who woke up and were like, oh, apparently I'm not British anymore. Okay. Because I'm Canadian. Right, so the Gunslinger Man. They can be used to perform actions safely because of lone operative. They have a reactive move, or it's move shoot. It's enemies move closer, you shoot them and then you move. Once per turn, enemy moves within 9 inches. You shoot and then move d6, which might be enough to like trip over your own bootlaces, fall on the ground 1 inches back, and then you get shot or charged. Fine. The Reductus does the same sort of things as the Metamorph and is, what, 5 points more? Is a Reductus Saboteur 65 points or 70? Yeah, 65 points. 5 points more for Reductus Saboteur. Then you get a bomb. Then you get a demolition charge. Then you get indirect fire bombs. Then you get free grenades. That's good for 5 points. And their demo charge hits on a 3+. The reactive move of the Metamorph against enemies within 9 inches, and that have moved into line of sight. Yeah, you can shoot them and maybe you can hop the other side of a wall that they can't shoot through. Fine. The Sniper Sanctus has a reactive move that is set 6 inches, and they are 10 points cheaper than the Metamorph. It's another lone operative character. We have 2 or 3 lone operative characters already. Can anyone think of something that the Metamorph, besides being a cowboy, what they do better than other characters? Yeah, the Metamorph can't infiltrate. That is a big problem. They're a deep striking person. Their whole thing used to be popping up near neophytes and supporting them. You can't really do a lot. You have to run from the ground. Lacking infiltrate is a really big problem. So what are you going to do? Put them on the home objective? Well, an enemy turns up 9 inches away from deep strike. No. At least more than 9 inches away, because it's deep strike, and you can't use your Metamorph ability, and now you're within 12 inches and you get shot. The 3 pistols are damage 1. It's 6 shots with devastating wounds. It's damage 1. You're killing on average... Oh, they got rid of the sustained hits on him as well from the index. He was better in the index. So you're looking at 5 hits against a Space Marine. Then, 4 wounds. You might kill 1 Space Marine. And then you die. It's not very good. Yeah, it's not great. Visually, you'd think... I mean, they used to have, like, precision attacks as well. But they're not doing that. I don't know what the Metamorph is meant to do in the Codex. So I think, regardless of what people say, it's a D tier character. This leaves us with the Patriarch, the Primus, the Achilles Ridgerunner, and the Goliath Truck. Yeah, they can do trick shooting. They are fine with that. Truck time. I don't know what the Metamorph is meant to do. Actual expert on Genestealer Cult. Yeah? Well, yeah. There's no reason to do anything else with them. Right. Okay, I'll do the Ridgerunner. Because yes, that is an easy S tier. The Ridgerunner is the unit you take in every detachment. Because the Ridgerunner's ability... You hit the enemy, which could be with your heavy stubbers. It doesn't have to be with your massive gun. Hello, Zerota. And then anything else that's Genestealer Cults, so not Brood Brothers or Tyranids, anything else in your army that attacks that enemy unit gets an extra point of armor penetration, shooting, or combat. It lasts until the end of your turn. So it's not like the Index where it was shooting only, where you'd pair it with some Neophytes or Acolytes and throw flamers and bombs and things. Now it can be used in the Biosanctic Brood Surge. It can be used in the Final Day Detachment. Actually, in the Final Day Detachment and in the Brood Brothers Auxilia, if you give them a spotter, that improves their ballistic skill by 1. So their ballistic skill is 3+. Then the Final Day and the Brood Brothers Auxilia can give it +1 to hit. So now they hit on 2s with a heavy mining laser, which has blast. That's pretty good. What are the purple crown things? So that's like a top fan ranking for the people who are commenting today, and you can get XP. They've gamified the chat bar. So if you type a comment, your XP goes up. If you press a heart on the this thing, yeah, that thing in the corner, press a heart and you get some XP in the corner there. And then you can go up in the rankings. I don't know why they wanted to do it, but yeah, they're like, well, chat has so many things on Twitter, and YouTube wants to take all of the elements for Twitter. Yeah. Get on that chat grind mindset. I know. So weird. Yeah, I think we're almost certain that we're going to keep the Ridgerunner in S tier, because if the points of the Ridgerunner ever changed and went up, every Genestealer Cult army list has struggled now. Every detachment is now a little bit worse. So if Games Workshop was like, whoa, these Genestealer Cult players are on 70% win rate, 10 points increase on the Ridgerunner, and we go back down to 50%. Do I have any other notes on the Ridgerunner? Good in every detachment. It makes the Neophyte shotguns AP -1. You may want to, of course, pair that with Ignore Cover, which the Ridgerunner does. They have the Server Auger. That ignores cover for the enemy. That's very useful if you're in a shooting detachment. Even the Host of Ascension, where your units coming from reserve have Ignore Cover anyway. it's a little bit of nice redundancy baked in. So maybe one of your units hasn't come from reserve that turn because you did reserves on turn 2 and turn 3. Well, the Ridgerunner shot it, and they get ignore cover. Purestrain Genestealers in the Biosanctic Brood Surge at AP -3. That's great. Whenever you're fighting monsters and like the claw of them is in cover, so the entire model's in cover, ignoring that is so much better. I use the mining laser in most detachments, but in the final day detachment and the Biosanctic Brood Surge, I use the mortar because that's more about having infiltrating units that move forward. Purestrain Genestealers infiltrating aberrants in the Biosanctic Brood Surge. Lictors in the final day. They all move forward. The Ridgerunner wants to stay at the back. It could be on your home objective, and the mortar gives that benefit, that crossfire bonus. Is it objective control 3? The Goliath Truck's only objective control 2. The big thing, the Goliath Rockgrinder, is objective control 3. Is the Achilles Ridgerunner's 3. And in the Outlander Claw, then you also get an extra objective control. It's no longer the silly double your objective control to 6, but objective control for Ridgerunner is pretty good. So then they get even better in the Outlander Claw. Even if you say they're A tier, I think they're an S tier. Choice of weapon for Outlander Claw, lasers still? Yes. They want to be moving fast and supporting the bikes, if you want to support bikes. I can't think of a time I'd want to use the missiles. No, not really. But that's a detachment that has a lot of scout. Infiltrating Purestrains is what I use, and then the bike scout, and then the Ridgerunner scouts with them, and anything with trucks that's metamorphs in the trucks, that also scouts. How close inside the Ridgerunner and the Taurox to each other? I mean, height-wise, the Taurox is going to be at least an inch bigger. Oh, the Tauros. Oh, right, the Necromunda Tauros. Oh, they're almost identical. Yeah, so you can use the Tauros as a Genestealer Cult Ridgerunner, yeah. And people will buy it as a off-brand Ridgerunner. I think when they first came out, we did a live stream about it. I was like, oh, they're cool. Use them. Yeah, I'd still say lasers. So that's going in S tier. This leaves us with 3. Do we want the Truck, the Primus, or the Patriarch? Where's my chat bar? Who is leveling up their chat? Ooh, mini compare. I will also bookmark that. Because sometimes I need to know the exact size of things. Not just for 3D printing, which I don't have, but other people might do. But if I'm like, hey, you want to use this tank as this other tank? Well, Games Workshop says the hull is what's important, but doesn't take into account like the different versions of it, like the older Immolator, the newer Immolator, the older Exorcist, the newer Exorcist. I've seen people, because I did my Exorcist video, I was trying to figure out what people say about the different scales of the different models, and people always like, oh yeah, this is 6 inches high, mine's 5 inches high, mine's 4.5 inches high. It's like, okay, that's weird. Invader ATVs. Oh yeah, the Invader ATV, which is the go-kart thing. There was nothing that wrong with the attack bike. The attack bike has eventually grown on me as, this is a Space Marine in a sidecar, what are we doing? But we're doing it. Truck. Yes, we'll do the truck. I absolutely agree. We should do the truck. So, Curl, truck. Let's pop it up there for now. Right, the truck. You have a unit inside. The unit gets out. If the truck shoots a thing, the unit inside gets full rerolls to wound. That is great for metamorphs with hand flamers. And the more I've used metamorphs, the less I use autopistols for the auto 6 surge move. I'm okay with the hand flamers instead and a D6 surge move. Once they removed the you can only surge move once per turn, that was when I was like, okay, we'll make the switch now. The demo charge cache on the truck is very nice. Because it's blast, we can't use it against enemies that charge us with the big guns never tire rule. There's no weapon options to pick from, so you can't have a mining laser. sometimes it feels like, well, in the Host of Ascension, it's not really doing anything we don't get from Deep Strike. It can keep a unit safe. It can get a unit around the board. It's very useful for getting a thing to move fast. In the first turn, put Aberrants inside. Advance with it. Next turn, the Aberrants get out and then charge something. And they've gained a lot of movement. You can also then do the bunker truck tactic. Just have the truck in the middle, behind a ruin or something. Get a unit out. Have them go off and do their thing. Get another unit in. Then if you're ever like, okay, well, this is now a shooting unit. It's no longer moving around Aberrants. It's moving Neophytes or it's moving Metamorphs. Then you can get the unit out, move the truck. Shoot the truck at the enemy and then shoot the Metamorphs. It's very Outlander Claw focused. It has grown on me. Let me see. Let's see if there's anything else. I mean, it's pretty good for shooting. It's got an autocannon, twin autocannon, so it's twin linked. Strength 9 is good. Damage 3 is good. Yeah, the demolition cache is okay. Heavy stubber is also there. Firing deck 6. So in the Outlander Claw, you don't need to get out with something like the the Benefactus with the Mind Laser, with the Reductus Saboteur. Well, not the once per game bombs, but otherwise indirect fire bombs. And you've also got Neophytes who can be firing the 4 best weapons you have from the top. That's the Mining Laser, the Seismic Cannon, the Grenade Launcher, the Flamer. I realize now I also need to add the Benefactus. There you are. Can't let you get mixed. Mished. Do not miss the Benefactus. People are saying low A tier. Could be it. Now, the 3 Benefactus inside idea was first floated when the Benefactus was launched, and that's incredibly expensive. A Goliath Truck is 85 points, a Benefactus is 70 points. You're looking at 300 points for 6 las cannon shots. If you want 6 las cannon shots, please play the Brood Brothers Auxiliary instead and take some, Imperial Guard units. Have heavy weapon teams with las cannons. They're way cheaper. Have tanks with actual big guns. That's going to be better for 300 points. So I don't recommend the Benefactus bus. Even though it's something you can do. With Kelemorphs inside as well. You're just making it so much better. Alright, let's vote on the truck. We have an A tier as an option, a B tier as an option, a C tier as an option. So the A tier would be, this is good in all of the detachments. I'll happily take one in whatever detachment we're using. B tier is, it works. There are other units or other tactics I use instead. C tier is Outlander Claw and only Outlander Claw. Ooh, we're getting very contentious with this one. A tier, B tier. No one's saying C tier. That's very nice. What did we put last time? Because I don't think it's really changed in use. B tier. B tier looks to have won out. Okay, we'll go with B tier. That seems reasonable. It's alright. But it works best in one detachment. It's fine. Most of the time you absolutely do not need it. Benefactus Primus Patriarch. There's your 3 choices for the next one. Demo charge Acolytes better. Haven't used them in so long. No, not really. They haven't really improved. In fact, if you're just using them to turn up and complete missions, the Purestrain Genestealers are also a good option now. Because they're 2 resurgence points to bring them back, and keep doing that. The demo charges are not better. They were... When did they change the range of demolition charges? Oh yeah, it was about December when they said, okay, no one's allowed to deep strike 3 inches anymore. Yeah. Hello, Ivy. Right, Benefactus, Primus, or Patriarch? The Genestealer Cult Imperial Guard detachment is crummy, but I kind of want to make a funny vehicle list. You can. It's probably the worst detachment you have as Genestealer Cult, but it can work. I've had it work. It's surprising the amount of, oh yeah, we have the infantry to do the secondary missions and the primary missions, and then the tanks do all of the killing, especially the Rogel Dawn and the Leman Russ, the basic Leman Russ. Unfortunately, that went up in points. Yeah. Right. If we're not going to pick one next, I'm going to pick the next one in my notes. So that's the Patriarch. Patriarch time. Patriarch is very, very good in the Biosanctuary Brute Surge and the Final Day detachment. There you have infiltrating Purestrains, and when they charge, they get +1 to the charge roll, and they get +1 attack each, including the Patriarch, who is part of that unit. So that's 6 attacks with their damage 2 claws. But of course, you'll want to up it with the enhancement, and then it's damage 3. Biosanctuary Brood Surge, Patriarch, Alien Majesty, no. Biomorph Adaptation, an extra AP, an extra damage. Then you have AP 3 and damage 3. Plus you have Twin Linked, plus you have Devastating Wounds. Whereas in the Final Day detachment, you can have the Ignore Overwatch enhancement, or you can have the Get Sustained Hits as long as you're near a Tyrannid unit. And then you can have Sustained Hits. And, of course, one of the stratagems lets you fully reroll wound rolls as long as your unit is attacking an enemy unit within 6 inches of a Tyrannid unit. Then you get full rerolls to wound, and the Patriarch gives them devastating wounds. It's an exceptional combo in those 2 detachments. In the other detachments, very much less so. I have seen a Patriarch taken alone, but they are 75 points. Toughness 5, a 4+ invulnerable save and 6 wounds. It's not super hard to get through. And there's no lone operative. You can't give them stealth. I've seen them run alone, but I don't think it works that well. They're a little bit fast. If you really wanted to, you could upgrade one of your units to a Patriarch. One of the ones you have in like the center. But you do infiltrate in the center, so that's an option. Yeah, when we have so many other actual lone operative characters, it feels unnecessary to run the Patriarch alone. And they don't have the sheer power that, say, a Canoness with a Halberd does, or a Space Marine Captain does, if you're just going to run them alone. I do have a new appreciation for the Cosmic Horror ability. That's where, at the start of the fight phase, every enemy unit within 6 inches has to take a Battle Shock test. It doesn't matter if they can see the Patriarch, it doesn't matter if they're in combat with the Patriarch, all of them, and it's every fight phase. So what happened is the enemy charged me, hoping to take an objective from me. They failed their Battle Shock test. So that means they can't use any stratagems. Oh, and you can't reroll the Battle Shock test with Command Reroll, because Battle Shock is not one of the things you can reroll, and you can't use Insane Bravery, because that is the command phase only. So they ended up Battle Shocked, and then as long as one model survives on my side, I keep that objective. It's their turn, so at the end of their turn, they don't have the objective. At the start of my turn, you know, command phase, not being below half strength, passing my Battle Shock test dependent, I will have that objective. I can complete missions there, because the enemy doesn't have any objective control. And yeah, they can't use stratagems, so they're super powerful. Oh, we go in and swing, suddenly doesn't work. It can stop your opponent getting a lot of victory points. And I gain victory points. And if the enemy wasn't in range, because it's a 6-inch aura, once per game, you can discard the familiar, and then it becomes a 12-inch aura. Surprisingly nice. Your opponent never fails Battle Shock tests. I do feel that has happened quite a few times. Yeah, but occasionally you can get it where, oh yeah, it's a 7+, and then, oh, doesn't work. Or they have a Tyrannid unit that charges out of Synapse range, and now they're on a leadership of 8+. They are much more likely to fail. You fail a lot with Custodes, and Trajan has a 5+ leadership. Ooh, yeah, that's pretty nasty. Ivy, thank you for becoming a supporter. The Imperial Guard Genestealer Cult detachment, called the Brood Brothers Auxilia. Would you want to use the guard to mark the targets for the Genestealer Cult and then deal damage from the shooting? Well, that is one way to think of it. Then you're relying on the Genestealer Cults for the shooting. That would be units like the Neophyte, with the Primus, or it would be, well, the Ridgerunner with a spotter, so it hits on a 2+, with that bonus. The problem is the Genestealer Cult shooting is not that great without other support. What you should do instead, and what I recommend, is just play it almost without the detachment rule, almost without the stratagems, apart from Symbiotic Destruction. That's good. That gives 2 units reroll wound rolls of 1. And then just have the Neophytes and Acolytes hold objectives and complete secondary missions, have Purestrain Genestealers annoy and distract the enemy, and then have your Leman Russes, your big tanks, they do the actual killing. Yeah, Rockgrinders, no. Rockgrinders, we've said, what tier have we put them in? The Rockgrinders were in B tier. They have a big gun, the Ridgerunner has a better big gun. And we don't really need to transport things around that much. So I have a video on the Biosanctuary Brood Surge. I think I have 3 videos by now. But the one, I think it's called How to Play the Brood Brothers Auxilia. It goes through, yeah, you can do it one way where you pair up units, or you can just say, forget it, pretend we don't have a detachment rule. There is one stratagem, and that means you can reroll 1s on wound rolls for your tank that has lots of shots, like a Rogel Dawn, like a Leman Russ, potentially. And you could pair that with a Scout Sentinel. Scout Sentinel gives you reroll hit rolls of 1. Now your Rogel Dawn has reroll hit rolls of 1 and reroll wound rolls of 1. Or your Leman Russ battle tank shoots an enemy on an objective, has full rerolls to hit, and rerolls wound rolls of 1. And your strength 10 with the battle cannon, so that's very good. Benny Bus with Rockgrinder, you just made it even more expensive. You've gone from 85 points to... How many points did we say the Rockgrinder was? Yeah, 120 points. Wow! So you are nearly 350 points for the 3 Benefactors, a Rockgrinder, and like the Cartographic Data Leech enhancement. Oh, that's not a great one. Please stop overspending points. If you were designing the worst list possible, then maybe. Oh yeah, if the if the Brood Brothers Auxilia detachment rule was inverted, and the Genestealer Cult helped the actual army to shoot, then it would be better. But they're trying to stick with the theme of the Genestealer Cult are the main characters. They do it better in the Final Day detachment, where having the Tyranids near to an enemy unit makes your Genestealers better combat or shooting. If the Brood Brothers Auxilia did that, that would be a great improvement. You shoot a unit and oh yeah, suddenly the Metamorphs are hitting on 2+. Suddenly the Purestrains are on 1+. Yeah. They can still fail on a 1, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Right, what else is the Patriarch doing? So apart from me getting very lucky with my causing battle shock, the Patriarch is good in a couple of detachments. Maybe that puts them in C tier. Or they could be B tier because you could also use them in other places. Like you can have them in the Outlander Claw, you can get sustained hits in the Host of Ascension, and you could give them the ability to charge with +2 range when you come from reserve, so our time is nigh, charge on a 7+. Get some Patriarchs and Purestrains in there. I think it's only going to be B or C tier. If you struggle to paint Genestealer Cult are not for you. I mean, the vehicles are pretty easy to paint. The bikes are pretty easy to paint. The skin on the Aberrants is incredibly easy. The characters can be done in bright colours. The Genestealers are pretty simple because it's Carapace and then the bits that are not Carapace. I don't think they're the worst ones to paint. It's just a lot of models to paint is their main thing. Small details, there are some, like the tubes. The tubes are entirely optional. The tubes that go up their nose, the tubes that go from their suits. Yeah, the pistols, the grenades. It is a lot of detail, I see. But you can paint quite a lot of that black and just say, like stealthy military people, they painted their equipment black to hide it. It's all part of the plan. You've been trying to make a list with Brood Brothers and a Bane Blade, and it's kind of clunky. Yes, I think it is. I use a Shadow Sword instead, because then you've got a big cannon that's damaged 12, and multiple shots, and devastating wounds, and has it got something like anti-vehicle? No, I don't think it has anti-vehicle. Brood Brothers Auxilia, Shadow Sword. Shadow Sword's been my favourite for, I want to get rid of tanks. Genestealer Cult cannot get rid of tanks. Yeah, you get devastating wounds against monsters and vehicles. And D3 +1 shots with blast, strength 24, AP -5. The enemy could have a 3+ save and be in cover and they still don't get an armor save. And then they explode. It deals with the big enemy problems. B tier for Patriarch. Alright, I'm happy with the B tier for the Patriarch. You're going up. Your ability to scare enemies has convinced people. This leaves the Benefactus and the Primus. Since we've been talking about the Benefactus and the idea of putting 3 of them in a bus together, let's talk about the Benefactus. What they give you is lethal hits, but it's at range, so the only unit you're going to attach them to is a Neophyte squad. You could put them with the Acolytes with demo charges, just for the demo charges to have lethal hits, but they're high enough strength anyway. So I would put them with Neophytes all the time. Mainly in the Host of Ascension, then you come from reserves. You have ignore cover and sustained hits, and you also get lethal hits. Benefactus... What is it? Oh yeah, they have the other terrible ability. Once per game, that model and only that model can have a 4+ invulnerable save. I swear that's been written wrong and it should be the unit once per game has a 4+ invulnerable save, but no. Then they would be useful for defending an objective when you just put 20 Neophyte bodies on it. The enemy charges you in combat, they're like, ho, I've got 15 attacks at AP -2, you won't get a save? Well, now you get a 4+ save. Well, actually, it doesn't work like that, which is a shame. Yeah. So the Benefactus is a character to attach to Neophytes if you don't want to attach a Primus. Primus is 10 points more and has full rerolls to hit. Unless I've had like 2 Primuses. I mean, one's probably fine. Yeah, 1 Primus, and then I'll start going to the Benefactus in the Host of Ascension, but only the Host of Ascension. They have a las cannon brain, which is strength 12, d6 +1 damage, but only 1 shot. You can overcharge it to have 2 shots. And then it has hazardous. And then if you roll a 1, the Benefactus, which has 3 wounds, explodes. So the idea is, as has been mentioned, in the Outlander Claw especially, you put them in a truck. You can also put them in a truck with Neophytes, then you can get out and do things. With the Cartographic Data Leech, which is a 10-point enhancement, then when you fire using the firing deck, those shots have +1 ballistic skill. So your las cannon hits on a 2+. I would be okay with, instead of using a Benefactus for like 2 shots and 70 points, or having 2 of them, which is 140 points, get yourself an Achilles Ridgerunner. That is 85 points, 15 points more, and you get a D3 shot las cannon. Stop trying to make the Benny bus work. Get a Ridgerunner instead to do the job. Yeah, sing scanners. It does sound like scanners. Yeah, yeah. Is a Benefactus in a bus better than a Saboteur in a bus? I mean, you do have the hazardous thing of, yeah, you can fire 2 shots when you're inside, and the truck takes the hazardous wounds rather than the Benefactus. I still prefer the Reductus Saboteur. Then I can drop the Reductus Saboteur off on an objective, and Lone Operative keeps me safe. The Benefactus does not have Lone Operative. The Lone Operative is good, the Benefactus dies. Tier list of units in buses. Yeah, in the Host of Ascension, there is a chink in their arm enhancement for lethal hits. The Benefactus isn't as redundant because now you have a Primus with a chink in their armor. That's a squad with lethals and sustained hits and full rerolls to hit. And then you have a separate unit of 20 Neophytes in like a 2,000 point game or 3,000 point game. And there's another unit with lethal hits and sustained hits. And then you never overcharge the Lascannon Brain because you want those lethal hits. And yeah, it can only have one model, you can't have a second one, you can't have a Nexus in that squad. The Benefactus is weird. Caravan Von Carmian. Today we're in a bus and we're talking about the models you can put in this bus with me. What's the best application of the Rockgrinder? It's not really worth the firepower. The idea with the Rockgrinder is you have a combat unit inside, a small unit of 5 Acolytes, 5 Aberrants, not 5 Genestealers, but something along those lines, and it charges in with them, and it like blows up things and crushes them, and it's okay when it's fighting. If it had like damage 4 as the grinding clearance, like hey, you charged, or you didn't charge, then you're damage 4, like ho, are you gonna charge me? Yeah, that'd be fun. Free meme video ideas just being handed out. I know, but after the Exorcist video that was very memey. It did average? I want to say it did average. Yeah, it's about average. 50 people are watching it per hour, which is not bad. But I usually get more than that. So we'll not do meme videos for a while. I've done enough memes. No, maybe I have one more meme video in me, but I'll have to like overcommit to it. Analysis on bus characters is something that would be useful. Maybe. When I get round to doing an Outlander Claw video, I do need more experience with Outlander Claw, then I'll talk a bit more about what units to put in the truck. Right, but I think the Benefactus is going to be either C tier or D tier. So this guy's name is Ben, or the lady's name is Ben. I'm thinking C tier or D tier. So C tier would be, you can use them in Host of Ascension if you want, or in the Outlander Claw if you really want. D tier is, I'm not really seeing any use for this character. Why am I taking them? Why are they 70 points? Why doesn't their ability work? That's usually what I think for the Benefactus. And I think they dropped in points from the start of the edition. Because when the Codex came out, I think they were like 85 or something stupid. So it's improved. Reductus Saboteur and a Rockgrinder, bombs everywhere. Some bombs. You can't use her once per game demolition charge from within the vehicle. But then you could. You can get out and reroll. It's the other truck that has reroll wounds. So regular truck is better. I mean, the Rockgrinder is cool looking. And it has a nice idea of you drive it down a tunnel and it grinds out the tunnel, but it's not really a drill front, it's dozer blade thing. It's a bit weird. Okay, it's a bit weird. I think it's only useful if you're putting a small combat unit inside, usually Aberrants. Otherwise, for almost everything, as we said much earlier in the tier list, use a regular truck. The occasional big damage when it's actually useful? When can they do big damage? They have 6 attacks, 8 attacks in combat, strength 10. They are not bad in combat. They can grind at the legs of a walker or a vehicle. They are fine. They are just overpriced. We've said C tier to B tier for them today. Usually they end up in like C tier. And it looks like we said C tier for the Benefactus. Very good. I'm okay with that. There you go, in C tier, which means we have our final one, because we're not doing like Brood Brothery things. The Primus. Where does the Primus want to end up? This is a character that lets you reroll all hit rolls. So, any unit they join can get that. If you're hitting on a 3+ with, say, Acolytes or with Metamorphs, that's still good. If you attach them to a shooting unit like the Neophytes, then you can get so much better, especially in the Host of Ascension, also in the Brood Brothers Auxilia, where you can have Firepoint Commander, then you have Overwatch on a 5+ with full rerolls to hit. That is about as good as a regular round of shooting. And we know it's the Brood Brothers Auxilia. You're not going to spend your command points on anything else. You also get to move more units underground. That is really cool. You also get to move units around the board, including infiltrators. So if your Purestrain Genestealers were in front of something that you don't really need to block because it's like Centurions or something really slow like that, and all they're going to do is get shot as the Centurions move forward, you redeploy them to the other side, and then they're blocking something that actually needs to be blocked. It's quite a lot of points. He's about 70 points. Our Primus man. Primus fellow. He's more expensive than Patriarch. Yeah, he's 80 points and the Patriarch is 75. He has 4 wounds, so he's not going to be instantly shot by a sniper. I mean, the weapons are fine. It's damage 1 power sword instead of the Locus's damage 2. So he doesn't want to be fighting himself, he's there to make everyone else fight better. He's a key leader in the Xenocreed detachment, and then you're getting full rerolls to hit, and hey, we've got to hit on 2s. Or what else are we doing in the Xenocreed? You know, charging. Now we're fighting better once we get there. We've got assault weapons. It's mainly that. Mainly fight a bit better. He's a good guy. Most armies will want him. Not every detachment. Like the Biosanctum Brood Surge doesn't really need him. That's the only one I can think of right now. Outlander Claw is still be fine if you're having a big squad of Neophytes, which you may not want. You may want to go lots of mechanized squads. Host of Ascension... Yeah, Final Day is still a good choice. Brood Brothers Auxilia, very good choice. In fact, necessary choice to get anything out of the army apart from relying on the big tanks of the Imperial Guard. Biosanctum Brood Surge, you can pair up with a Biophagus, but then you're getting a very expensive unit. Then you're trying to have the Biophagus to make the detachment rule work. Then you've got your 10, let's say the cheapest one, the Acolytes with mining tools. So you're already on 180 points. Then you're adding a Primus, which is another 80 points. Maybe not there. But Host of Ascension, oh, S tier. Absolutely S tier then. Thinking A for sure. The 25 point enhancements makes him expensive, but it's full rerolls to hit with lethal hits and sustained hits in the Host of Ascension. Do far better in melee than expected. It's 7 attacks, 5 with a sword, 2 with the Toxin Claw. And the Toxin Claw is anti-infantry 2 plus D3 damage, but with no armor penetration. So you can crush an orc head. I've never had him really do much good in combat. If I want a combat character, I choose the Locus. Yeah, he's pointed like you use them in the host. Expensive elsewhere, but you do get that really nice redeploy. As soon as you have Purestrain Genestealers, it's useful. So maybe he is really useful in the Biosanctum Brood Surge, just to shuffle them about. And also you're infiltrating Aberrants. Yeah, if you're like, oh right, okay, Aberrants want to be over there, crushing that. Genestealers want to be over the other side, and they're slaughtering their way through infantry. Now you have the guy that does it. That is so good and valuable. You can do various levels of sneaky. The Genestealer Cult are definitely a sneaky army. This detachment, no, this edition, they are much easier to play than they've ever been. You don't have to be pure mind games and super sneaky. You can be like mildly sneaky and know the combos beforehand. Yeah, don't think you've had an army list without at least one Primus? I have, but it's rare. So let's think about that. Primus. Are we saying S tier? Are we saying A tier? Or are we like, no, it's only like the Host of Ascension that I'd consider the Primus. Yeah, redeploy is good. Just being like, okay, I actually want a load of units in reserves. Now I can have 3 more. You can play a Host of Ascension army of 1,000 points and have the entirety of your army in reserves because of the Primus. Don't do that, but you can. Because I would want something in the mid-board, like infiltrating Purestrains or a lone operative, and something on the home objective, like Acolytes or Neophytes. And let's also have... Oh, I've already done some membership. Membership gifting? Yeah, I've got membership gifting. We can have some more members. There we go. Misfits become a member again. Hydro in. Victor, Super Flatworm, B the BBs, and Gok Rosa have all got memberships as well. Lovely. Right, and we're putting the Primus in A tier. Okay. Clicky there. Up you go to A tier. So there's our tier list. Of course, if you just skip to this part in the live stream, you want to go back and find out why all the units are here and what they can do. Excellent. I think in the coming... Oop, not that button. Come back, chat. Don't go. There we go. You come back. There we go. I think in this coming week, I'm going to try and do more... do I say this week or the week after? We'll figure something out. I do have videos planned that are Genestealer Cult related and videos planned for Sisters, of course. My problem with the Death Watch is the Death Watch are operating much the same as they have been the last 7 months. So unless something cool comes out for them at this reveal trailer on like the 18th, the Death Watch are not going to get a mention, I'm afraid. There's not much really for them. It's different at all. Apart from, hey, that one video I did, it was like, okay, we've got Vanguard veterans that are cheaper. That's very Deathwatch themed. That's very nice. Yeah, so as a member, you get a little marker next to your name. The longer you're a member, the better the color gets. So Zerota's is like a very high tier in terms of memberships. And you can tell because of the color that he is. Did it not link to anything to top fans? No, apparently top fans are just ranking up for this particular live stream. In the next live stream, you'll have to rank up all over again. Almost 2 years. Very cool of you, Zerota. Very cool. Yeah. Okay, now is the last time for me to plug once again that I have on Ko-fi. There's the tip button, so if you're like, oh yeah, this was a great live stream, have a small amount of money, that's my appreciation, and it will come up on the screen with any message you want to give. There's also this Inner Circle Advice tier, which is where you can pay me £20 and then I will work through making an army list with you and the tactics you use with that army list. So if you're just getting into Genestealer Cult or Battle Sisters or Deathwatch, I will help you make an army with that. If you want to pick something else, you're like, oh, I really want some very detailed lore advice on this, like how the Blood Angels work in the Horus Heresy. You've done that before. That's an option. The point is you get me and my knowledge and my time. And I think it's, how many places have we got left for this month? I don't think it's 23 anymore. Oh, it's 21 places left. There you go. So there are many options. Right, I'll stop plugging that. We've had fun. Okay, so if you are around, I will see you next week. Do I have any tactics on how to beat Custodes in particular? With the Genestealer Cult, it's more get on objectives, hide, don't get killed by them, endure and just take the points and focus down their units one at a time. Pick a flank, destroy them on that flank, take the objectives. Because they don't have the troops to redeploy. If you can destroy like 2 of their flanks worth of units, you win the game, because they'll control not as many objectives as you. And you'll be able to do all your secondary missions. They'll be able to do not a lot. And if you can get some units behind the lines to burn away their Sisters of Silence on their home objective, Acolytes with Hand Flamers are a good choice. That's what you do. Okay, that's some advice. If you want more detailed advice, there's a tier list for that. A tier, a ranking, a level of Ko-fi, and we can go into much more detail. Okay, I'll see you... Where's the end screen? Next week! Have a great day, 40k!